Well, hello and welcome to another live on Marlene's Home and Garden channel. This is your first time here. My name is Marlene, and I'd love for you to leave me like a little note in the comments. Let me know if you can hear me or not. I'd love to see that because we want to make sure that everything is going really well for you. So just leave me a note so I can know. All right. Just getting a little pop up here, so let me clear that out of the way. But just let me know when you can hear me, and we will proceed on. But anyway, just as a little background, if you've never been here before, this is a gardening channel. You can see my beautiful roses right here, and I absolutely love them. They're a little bit of a feature today. But anyway, okay, so I'm seeing some notes on here. I'm getting some greetings, say it sounds great, hey, and all of that. So anyway, roses are a natural part of, Valentine's and relationships and all of that. So we're going to talk about it just a little bit later in this, but this really is because it is a Valentine's edition. We are going to be talking about, like marriages and relationships, the ins and outs and all of that, the things that we have, learned over time. My husband's going to be joining me very shortly. And we had one year ago, approximately the same time, Valentine's edition as well. And we got some really good feedback. Some great information went out about this. And so, we just wanted to do it again to make sure that, everybody was, still doing good, just like a check-in. And, we're going to have some very interesting points. Of course, it's going to be politically correct. It is faith-based. So all of that is going to be wrapped in together. So hope you'll stay with us for this conversation. So let me just make this a little bit bigger so I can see everything that's going on here. I want to see your comments more clearly. They say when you're getting young. Okay, so we have Jared. Jared says sounds great. We have Pudra de Peaches says hey. We have Tiffany. Hi Tiffany, welcome. We have Andrea's Kitchen Time says hi guys. I'm so glad to see you and be sure to give me a thumbs up as well. I see quite a few of them already. So I certainly appreciate you guys. And if you just wanted to sit back and not necessarily, join in the conversation, that is perfectly fine too. So we're gonna go ahead and move it on along. So it's a season of love, mid-February, depends on when you're watching this. But anyway, it really came about. They said it had pagan backgrounds, but we're celebrating the good part of Valentine's, the good part of February 14th. And like I said, whenever you might be watching this. So basically, where we look at it, where it started from was actually Saint Valentine. I think he was a priest, but they said that at that point, the emperor that they had at that time, his name was Claudius. Let me take a look to make sure I don't say anything out of line. Emperor Claudius. That he actually felt that men who, young men who were going to fight in the war, that it kind of marriage hindered them from performing very well. It was kind of a distraction in his mind. So he forbade the young soldiers to get married. And so what they would do, what he did was he secretly married them, and eventually, they caught onto him. Eventually, he got arrested, and he died in prison. And they said that the jailer's daughter, he had fallen in love with her, and he wrote her a letter saying, from your Valentine. So that's kind of like how Valentine's note started and all of those things. So I'm just going off what the information gives us. But anyway, that's just a little bit of a background story on it. So, of course, we take a look at, the different topics here. And first of all, we just did the background, and we're going to take a look at little different points of people who are maybe dating, people who are married, engaged, somebody who could have been divorced. It just depends. And like I said, we're keeping it politically correct. On here, it is faith-based. So feel free to put your comments in here. I'll be glad to go ahead and take a look at all of those. So the first one is talking about, we'll just take a look at dating because, to get to marriage, there has to be some dating involved unless it's an arranged marriage, which those still do exist. They still have arranged marriages. But other than that, there's going to be some dating involved. And there are just different aspects to it, as far as dating goes, back in the day because we've been married, my husband and I have been married now for 25 years. We had our 25th anniversary late last year. And so, of course, it's a little bit foreign to me what goes on somewhat in the dating world. So you guys can tell me how it goes right now. But I know that like online dating is a big thing right now for some people. And here he comes. He's joining us. So I know that online dating has become a thing, in the last maybe 2 decades or so, and it gets more and more with time. And that, there have been marriages that resulted from online dating, but it just depends on what works for you. I would say if you're going to be doing it, um, if you're going to be doing that as your route to get there, then just be very careful because, a lot of things are digital now, as is that, and there can be security issues sometimes as
Right.
far as, putting your information out there. I would say if you're going to meet up with someone, make sure people know where you're going. Kind of get to know them first. Definitely, I would say have like virtual conversations. There's no excuse now for someone to meet you and never see you first.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because you have Zoom, you have all the different things. Maybe I'm missing some of the other ones that they
Yeah,
have, but
yeah.
you have
There's teams.
you have Teams,
Different
you
things.
have what do you call the one on your phone again?
Well,
FaceTime. You
FaceTime.
have all of those things. So there is no reason for you to go out and meet someone without actually talking to them first. Because someone can show you a really nice picture, right?
Yeah, but even with
That is not them, or sometimes it's like 20 years ago. Because I know people that have done it. It's like, why would you do that?
yeah, but you also have AI and stuff like that. So even that itself
That too, and even
can
that too. And you're
modify
right.
it.
I mean, because AI has become a big thing now. Someone can even say that they are you, they look like you,
Yeah.
and they kind of are not. So I'm just saying. But let me know in the comments, guys. Let me see. Jared says lots of good things start from Saints. But let me know in the comments, guys, what you feel about the whole online dating thing. Like I said, it's out of my realm. But we have Yard Boy there. Good night, Yard Boy. How you doing? Tell us about it. Your thoughts. I mean, I'm not saying that's something that you would necessarily be doing yourself, but just what are your thoughts on online dating? Me personally, I do have some reservations about it. I know that there are lots of marriages that come out of it. I personally know someone that is still happily married for many years, maybe like
Hmm.
about 15 years or so. And that's how they met. So it works for some people, not necessarily for everyone, but let me know your thoughts. Tiffany says it can be scary, honestly.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah. Like AI. It's,
Not just AI, just people not being
and
honest,
I'm
you
not saying,
know?
and I don't mean AI. I mean,
Right.
but anyway,
Please don't try to be with a dad joke. CC starting already. Oh my
anyway, yeah. But seriously though, I mean, in every relationship, it starts with communication. It starts, so you have to develop that your communication skills, and like Marlene was saying before, you have to be careful because people will they'll troll people, they'll look at information and tell you,
There's catfishing and
yeah,
all of
they'll
those
tell
things
you
that
they'll
happen
tell you
on
everything
there.
that you like, you place on your profile,
Yes.
and say that's what they are. So
Right.
you have to basically do your research and know all of that. But
Mm-hmm.
like I said, when all else fails, you follow your gut feeling and you pray. That's
Yeah.
my heart.
And like I said, it works out for some people because I know people that have done that and it works out perfectly
Right.
fine for them. Their marriage has been successful for more than 10 years, successful for more than 10 years. So it does work for some people, but I would say just be very cautious when you're doing it. And if you know of any red flags you personally know of, that you think might help, because we have people who come on the replay afterwards that watch these videos. So if you know of anything, that's like a red flag that we're not in that zone right now,
Mhm.
so we're probably not privy to those things. But is there any red flags that you can think of? Please put them in the comment on there. We'd love to hear from them. Some things that you can look at and make decisions as to, the best way to go.
Right, and share the pros and the cons because like in everything, there's good and bad, right?
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
not everything is all negative and all that. So let's
Hmm.
look at both sides and just get a balanced view, right?
Absolutely. So let's see. So Andrea says, "Oh my goodness, online dating is a mess."
Okay.
Well, like I said, tread cautiously. I'm not an expert on that. And by the way, we are not professionals. So let me just put that out there. We are not
Yeah,
professionals, right?
we're just
We've been
like
married
you.
for 25
Yeah.
years. We're just trying to share what works, what worked for us. This is not a perfect marriage, and I always say there is no perfect marriage because there are no perfect people.
Hmm.
We'll be made perfect in the afterlife, when we go on to eternal life. But for right now, there are no perfect people, so there is no perfect marriage, right? Like I said, if you can think of any like red flags that can help people who are on or come on afterwards, I'll be happy to read them out. So Tiffany says, based on what I've heard or seen from other people. So yeah. So what
Hmm.
you've heard or seen from
Yeah.
other people. Because like I said, maybe you're not in that realm, but maybe you have like friends, co-workers, family members who might be in that and maybe going good for them, but just to say, just to help others out. So Jared says a red flag would be smoking, and it just depends. Some people, like, if they see
Yeah.
somebody smoking, it's like, well, that's not my thing, so I wouldn't go that way. And that again would be a personal preference. Andrea says there are quite a few people who have been on alive on there. That's a new way to say it. But I
Oh,
guess you
what?
mean unalive. I guess that means that there are
Yeah.
no more. They're no
Yeah.
longer with us because it didn't work out. Yes,
Yeah.
you really have to be very careful with that. But like I said, for some people it works. To me, I think, either way, like for dating and meeting somebody, because unless it's an arranged marriage, you're gonna have to meet somebody. You're gonna meet them somehow, some way, right? So, because we saw each other first in college, we didn't hook up or anything, get together until years after we had graduated, and then we met again. But I think the best time is when it happens organically.
Okay.
You just live your normal life. If you're happy with yourself, just keep living your life and be happy. Then you will attract the right people. And I put a quote on here, and this might be my personal quote. I say don't chase love, because if you chase love, it runs away. So don't chase it down. You just be relaxed, enjoy your life, go from day to day. Don't watch the clock and be like, oh, I'm a younger woman, so you know about to be like, in my mid 30s and I haven't found anyone yet. Don't watch the clock,
Yeah.
because then you might get desperate. You do desperate things. And sometimes even feeling desperate, you attract people to that desperation. And most times it's not good. When you're feeling desperate and you attract people, it's kind of like, it's just not good. So
Yeah.
don't watch a clock. Just be happy, live your life every day. And as you go from day to day, it will fall into place. And I tell you, it happens most times when you least expect it to. You're just like, because sometimes some people, they get fed up and it's like, I just can't be bothered with this anymore. It's never going to happen for me. And they just kind of like settle in their mind. They're at peace, with what their life is. And then all of a sudden, out of the blues, it happens. Some people were just not meant to have children. And that is just the honest thing. It may be a
Mhm.
couple that doesn't have children because you got married later in life, but that is what God had planned for you. He wanted you to have a later marriage and no children. And you can adopt children too. I'm not
Right.
saying everybody necessarily wants that, but that is an option that's available as well. So I would say don't try to watch the clock and be like, oh, I'm so old, I'm getting older, da, da, da. Don't worry about it. It will fall in place at the right time, but just make yourself a happy person first. If you're
But
happy, then
yeah,
if
yard
you're
boy, yeah,
happy,
yard boy
if
says,
you're happy, then you can be happy
yeah,
together. But if you're trying to get to someone to make you happy, you're never going to be happy, because guess what? When the shine comes off the ball
mhm.
and you start to see their flaws and you have your arguments, which we'll talk about further down. We have some really
Oh
good
yeah,
bullet points going through.
the makeup and yeah,
Well, they don't see them with their hair nicely
the
done, like mine right here. His hair cut and dressed up really nice.
false
You
arm.
see, yeah, right. You see
I've
all of
heard
that
some
going
bar
on.
jokes about that.
Yeah,
It's
let's
crazy.
not go there. Please
Yeah,
don't do that. But anyway, but I'm just saying, be happy in yourself. When you're happy, then you'll attract the right people to you, and that's pretty much
yeah,
what. Let me take a look at the
yeah,
comments, because
yeah, yeah,
you're running ahead
yeah,
of us. Let me
yeah,
see.
yeah.
So your boy says, I think it's a good thing, because the metrics doesn't just choose randomly if the users are honest. But that's the thing, though, yard boy. Quite often people are not honest, because I told you I had a coworker, and it's not like she was that much older. She was maybe like about 31. And she put a picture of herself when she was 18, and then she showed it to me, and it's like, what do you think? What am I supposed to say about that? That's not you. That's not being honest. So it really would depend. And some of them are, I know that they ask a question in a certain way to get you to be honest. There's some of them like that. There are people who are professional, people who fix people up, and that's what they do. And they really are able to make good matches for people. So those things are out there. So I get what you're saying. But again, it really depends on people being honest. Just be honest.
Yeah,
Because I mean, if you're
hi,
not
Cheryl.
honest, if you're not honest, eventually they say like cream, the truth is gonna rise to the top, right? So you may get in the relationship initially, but then it doesn't last, because what? The truth comes out. So why would you want to put yourself to the heartbreak of investing your time, your energy, your money sometimes, and all of that for something that doesn't work? Might as well just, be patient, be honest, and hopefully you'll have someone who's honest too. So, it can work out for you. But I found that the best ones are, the organic ones, where people, might maybe somebody who knows you really well knows,
Yeah,
this person would be a really good match. And, quite often I hear that those turn out really, really well.
all right, Cheryl is here.
Let me before I get to share. Let me see. So Yard Boy said, to be honest, Tiffany said it's very important to know your morals and values before entering the dating realm. Absolutely, you have to know what you stand for,
Right.
what you'll accept, and what you will not accept. Absolutely, absolutely. She says dating standards these days are low and it's concerning, but it's a matter of finding the right person. Absolutely.
Right.
So there's a lot of, caveats in place, a lot of, things that you have to put, like a little check mark beside,
Yeah.
little red flags and stuff. That people do these things so that it can be more fruitful and more meaningful. And you can get something out of it. So Cheryl says, hey guys, and Cheryl says, that's right, chase love and find the devil.
Oh man. Yeah. And Jerry is saying, yeah, Abraham and Sarah, huh?
He said, chase love and find the devil. Oh my goodness, that is too funny. That's a good one, Cheryl. I'm not sure if somebody has patented that already, but that's not like something that
Yeah.
someone might use.
Yeah. Right.
And then Jared says, what does he say now?
Abraham
He
and
said
Sarah.
Abraham and Sarah, right? So because they were older, but they got married really young. It's just that they had their children,
Children late.
or
Yeah.
yeah, or a
And
child when they were older. But so you just never know. God has different plans for you. So everybody's story is different. Just be patient. So let me see now. So to Georgia Peaches says red flags. Some will say they don't smoke, but are what? But they are okay. They're onto contraband stuff. I mean, it just varies.
yeah, and the bottom line is, when you tread lightly and as you go along, just treat it as you're doing anything else.
Mm-hmm.
You're it's like they would say shopping around. You're checking things out. You're investigating, and there's no commitment, so you can walk away and you just do it in a polite way, and just move on.
Absolutely, I
Right.
agree 100%. So let's so Bruce Lee was cracking up about all of these red flag jokes and everything on there. Cheryl says, I remember years ago I was trying to get pregnant desperately. A lady called me once and said, I Cheryl, don't think about it, and before you know it, you'll be pregnant, and before you know it, I was. And that's what I'm saying, because
Yeah.
when you give out that, I mean, and things
Stress.
are spiritual, there is a spiritual side to everything. Where that's a part of who we are, body, soul, and spirit, right? When you give off that kind of a energy, it's coming off. You're trying. When you let it go, most of the times I find that the thing that you were hoping for in the right time, it falls completely into place, and we're all happy when it goes that way. So Cheryl also says, I met my life partner 7 years now. It's a lot of ups and downs, but the truth is, after a couple of years, you know what you can live with. And that's true too, because when people are honest, you get to see their true side, and you know within yourself what you are able to deal with and what you're not able to take. And that's the next thing again. You have to have standards. What are your standards? But some people, they raise the bar so high and then they complain when nothing happens. Oh,
Right.
he has to be 6 feet tall. He has to have six figures. He has to have like a big house. He has to have a fancy car. He has to know how to dress all the time, and da da da. And it's such it can be kind of exhausting to check all of those boxes.
And
You
also,
know.
I would say, when setting those standards, also look at you, because what you bring to the table also,
Mm-hmm.
what as you're saying, what are you emanating? Are you saying I'm desperate, whatever, but are you saying that I'm a confident person, I know what I want, and this is who I am,
Mm-hmm.
right? And let people respect you
Right.
for who you are
Yeah.
and not what they want you to be.
Mm-hmm.
There's that whole thing about I'll alter him, so don't try to change somebody.
Yeah. That's
What
the
you
next
see
thing.
is what you get,
Right.
right? Just make sure that you are the best that you can be, because nobody, I mean, people don't, you're not supposed to go into a relationship to be completed. You're supposed to come into a relationship to make it, to basically grow together, right? But as an individual, you already need to be completed in yourself. You need to grow up. You need to, have the right attitude, right values, and things like that. Because if you go there and you start demanding from the next person,
Mm-hmm.
they'll be like, look, I had, a coworker, he said, I'm not a Jesus.
Right.
Like,
So
people can't change people. You don't expect to change people. Just, be honest.
yeah, and that happens a
Yeah.
lot. People figure that once they get married, the person's going to change. No,
Right.
they're not. It's
Yeah.
actually going to get worse.
Yeah.
And I'm just being honest with you, because you're at the beginning, people are trying to impress each other. So you'll find that you're getting the nicer side of everything, the honeymoon phase, whether you're married or already or not. You're getting that kind of honeymoon phase, and everything seems perfect. Like a good story kind of a thing. And then once you get comfortable, then all the other the rough edges start to show. So I would say just, bear those things in mind when you're doing that. Let me take a look at the conversation here to see how we're going. So she says the thing that she says. Let me see.
Try to
Uh,
hear. Yeah.
the thing about it is finding yourself, loving yourself, and it makes it
There you
easy
go.
to love someone even
There
if
you
they
go.
have flaws you think you can't handle. And that's true,
Yep.
and that's what I was saying before. You have to be happy with yourself, because if you're unhappy and you're trying to get someone outside of yourself to make you happy, it's never gonna happen for you. It's only gonna get worse. I would
Yep.
definitely say, stay away from that kind of a mindset. He says, "Oh Lord, him too."
Yeah. Truth hurts,
Sure, it
but
says
hey, you know what I mean.
honesty. Yes, honesty is key. You have to put it out there. I'm not saying as you just meet someone to tell them every single thing
Oh
about
my
yourself,
goodness. Yeah. Don't do
because you
that. They're
don't
gonna run.
know
They're gonna
them.
run.
You don't know what they're gonna do with all of the information that you gave them. Sometimes
True.
it can actually be used against
Against you.
you, because you told them too much. So,
Exactly.
temper it, a little bit back and forth, see how you're going and all of that. But just, bear those things in mind. Honesty really is the best policy, but don't like tell it everything at the
Right.
very beginning.
Measure everything. You gotta measure it. Yeah.
And my mom used to tell me this, rest her soul. She would say that,
Hmm.
like
I
she,
remember this one. Yeah.
no,
Go ahead.
you do. Well, maybe you
Yeah,
do. I
I
don't know.
do.
But she used to say, like, when you meet someone, don't immediately start telling them about a previous relationship that you
Yeah.
were in. Don't do it, because you're bringing that baggage over into this
Hmm.
one. And sometimes, I don't know why, but for some reason, you start telling people how badly someone treated you before. And for some reason, they're like, well, since you took that, then I can do it too.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So people who are in the past kind of leave them there. I mean, you say it's a second marriage, or you're dating again after you're a widow or widower, and your spouse has died, and of course they're gonna come up in the picture. They're gonna be in the conversation, just not too much of it, but like the complaining about what they used to do to you and this and that. Try to hold off on that,
And also,
for as long as you can.
right. And remember, each person is different, right? So don't expect, person A to be like person B. Look at the strengths, look at the values, everything, and respect that person for who they are. They cannot be someone else because that's who God made them,
Right.
right?
And that's true too, because everyone has your own strengths and weaknesses. So you kind of like have to, bear those things in mind. So let's take a look at the conversation here. So let me see. She says, but wouldn't trade him for the world. Buy me cash. Buy me cash on this. LOL. People don't ever change, and that's what some of us do. Go in and try changing the other
Right.
person, and then become disappointed. And that's exactly what we were saying. We go in and we try to change. We try to change a person, and it's kind of like, you can't change people. That's something that has to come from inside of them. They have to have a real commitment, because we're hardwired a certain way. And for any of us, once you have certain types of habits, it's not easy to break them, because it's already in you. It's in your body, soul, and spirit, and it does take work to get it out of there. So I would say, bear those things in mind, that you cannot change people. People, if someone wants to change, make a change for the better, then allow them to do it. But I'm just saying that, don't put that as, the high bar, like they have to change because you are going to get disappointed there. So Tiffany says, God knows our plans for us and knows what's best for us. He knew exactly what I needed in a guy, and that's exactly what I got. It's so important to know the person prior to the relationship. Yeah, I think that's very important.
Yeah.
Or even if you don't know them, people that you trust know the person, so they can kind of say, like, this is a good person, whatever. Not that doesn't always happen. You have random strangers meeting, and it works out perfectly fine, and they find their way, because they're honest, and it works out. And so there are different ways to the same path. Let me
Hmm.
just check this really quick here.
It's an open
Just want to
check.
make sure. Oh,
Oh,
okay.
open.
All right. So yeah, let me take a look and see what we
Hi,
have
Lorna. How you doing?
next. I'm coming down to you, Lorna. So yeah, so she says, let me see. She said, I practically knew my
Best friend.
boyfriend's, I think it's boyfriend, since elementary school.
Okay.
Well, that's a story right there.
Yeah.
I can't say the same thing.
Yeah.
Like I said, we,
God
we
had to
saw
knock
each
me over
other
the
in
head.
college. We saw each other in college first, but he never made no moves. And I was like, I'm not gonna be. I'm an old-fashioned girl. I am not approaching a guy. I mean, it works out sometimes, and some people, I'm just saying that is not for me personally.
Right.
So we went through college and nothing happened. And then years afterwards,
God made the
then
right
we,
time.
it was the right time, and we met up together, and then it took off from there. And it's 25 years of marriage afterwards. So, you just never know what your path is going to be. Okay, so Cheryl says, and honestly, being truthful helps us to really unravel our true self.
Yeah.
Yes. But don't unravel everything at one time.
Yeah.
Don't lie. And like I
Layer.
said, you don't have to tell them every
Right.
single thing from like the very first date. No, you don't need to do all of that.
Yeah.
You know?
And remember, people, you gotta wait until they're ready sometimes, because if you say the wrong thing at the wrong time, you can just make things go the wrong way. So just pace yourself, and let it happen naturally.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And just like for some online dating stories that I've seen myself, a lot for me personally, and I'm not saying that's always the case because everybody needs to, have the relationship work out. But sometimes for me, what would concern me is if I see where someone is like they travel a lot, so you can't really get to see them, or they're in, they do some kind of a job or whatever that keeps them away all the time.
Yeah.
Just kind of like a reason for them to not really meet up with you or something. That for me is usually a little concerning because I've seen sometimes where that, like people that I know, they be co-workers or friends or whatever. And it's like because of the job that they do, they can never ever meet them. It's just always kind of like this fleet, like you're just chasing after, something that you can't really get a handle on. For me, that's kind of a red flag. But like I'm saying, there may be people who are, they may be traveling salesmen, they may be people who are truck drivers, they may be in, the armed forces, just depend. But I'd say like for those, try to see if you don't drag it out for too long without having a chance where you can actually meet with the person safely. And again, please do it safely.
Yeah.
Like somebody knows where you are. It's a public place. You don't go off to private places, at the very beginning, because these are the times that we're in. I mean, this has been happening for years, but it's just gotten so much worse these days. I would say definitely, keep an eye out for stuff like that. So let's see. So Tiffany says, yes, your besties like us. Yeah, like Marlene and Neil. Yeah. So Lorna says, hello everyone. Welcome, Lorna. I know sometimes people drop off and on because sometimes when the commercial comes up, it drops you off and you come back on. You can only control it so much. But whenever you come in and if you catch us on the replay, wonderful. We love to have you. I hope you can hang with us tonight because we have a lot of points to discuss here. So we're gonna go through them one at a time. And please, you've been giving in your input so far. We certainly appreciate it. It certainly helps to keep the conversation going. So Cheryl says, Warren says, it all boils down to trust. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And Cheryl says, most definitely, LOL. And Cheryl says, yes, that's important to not tell everything at once. I agree.
Right.
And, if you have children coming up too, you tell them the same thing. You temper things, but you really need to have honesty and trust in your relationships. It's very important. Which is basically the first and then look, these were the things about dating. I don't know if you wanted to put anything else before we go on to the next section, which basically is getting to the stage of like the wedding, when you start like planning the wedding and all of that. So if there's any other red flags, any other ideas that you wanted to talk about.
Yeah. Well, I mean, before you get to the whole thing of wedding and stuff like that, like you said, to set your values and everything,
Mm-hmm.
be honest with the person and said, this is well, before you get to that point, what the deal breakers and deal makers are.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't go to that level until you decide that you're going to get married, right? So I'll say that for when we get to that point.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess
Yeah.
you can kind of still put it out there that there are certain things that you will and you won't do because there's some people. For me, a deal breaker would be if somebody, I don't care how much I love you, if you say you don't want to have children, that is a deal breaker for me. And that is something that people need to be honest with. If you're infertile, that is something you should talk about as well too. You can. I mean, we didn't take any tests or anything, but I'm just saying those things are available. If it's really that important to you, you can take fertility tests to see if you are fertile, just so you can be honest about it.
Yeah.
And if it's a case where it kind of like if you're not, that's fine. If you are, that's fine. But if it's someone who definitely wants children and you didn't tell them and then they found it afterwards, that can really wreck a marriage. It's not going to help you in the long run. But like I'm saying, for me personally, I don't want to have a lot. Like if somebody said to me, I want 12 kids, I'd be like, no. So that would be a deal breaker. Okay, so, no, he did not. Right. But there are people who want to have lots of children. You know what I mean? There's something going on over there. But yeah, so like for me, I mean, if somebody says they want 12 and they're insistent on that, I mean, it's like I don't see that happening for myself. Or someone says they want no children at all, I'd be like, no, that's probably not going to be for me either. So it just it depends. But like I said, you have certain things that you're being like, okay, this is the line for me. I can't agree on that one, so that's it. But if that is something for you, then that's for you, right? So I would say little deal breakers like those, but little things like, oh, he has to be 6 feet tall. I mean, that's to me. I mean, so what if he's 5'11" and you really like him? You're doesn't be like, oh, he's 1 inch shorter, so I'm not gonna, you know what I mean? So little things
Platform
like those,
shoes.
or he has to have 6 figures. What if he earns $70,000 a year and he can make a
Yeah.
life together off of that? You go ahead and you do it. You know what I mean? So you have to kind of like temper it and see, what works and what doesn't work. Let me keep track of this here. So they're cracking up over here. So let me go further back up. So you guys are really typing a lot here, aren't you? So Cheryl says, for early relationship, the long distance thing is not a thing I subscribe to.
Yeah.
But I mean, to start off, because sometimes you may be in a position where you have to do it that way, right? But to have to keep extending, it's just it really is a strain, because I've seen that happen with even in our own family, not with us, but it did put a strain. They had the perfect match, perfect
I mean,
relationship, and
it's
then they the distance separated them because of work, and then it fell apart. And this was the perfect couple that everybody wanted to be like. So there's some things that you kind of have to think about what you're getting into and what you can actually handle. You're gonna say something?
yeah. I mean, in the early stages before we migrated here, I mean, we were, she was traveling back and forth and everything, and
We were married at
we
that
were
point,
married at the
though.
point.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, man, it put a strain on us because one month I spent like twelve thousand
You spent
dollars.
that's Jamaican dollars though,
Yeah,
not US.
yeah. But back then, that was like about probably
400
four
US.
400 500 US, something like that.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah,
about 400. So
yeah.
he was
On
calling me
phone
like
calls.
every day, and it's
But the
very
thing is,
expensive to call because
let me tell you this.
we didn't have like WhatsApp, and we
Yeah,
didn't have like those, like the little phone cards you can call and you just don't pay a lot.
but the
We
cost
didn't
of the
have
phone bill,
those.
right? I could have flown up to the US and back down three times at that time. That's
Yes.
how much, I mean, the cost of the flights were,
Yeah.
and stayed somewhere, rent a car and all that, and I spent all that in 1 month. And I said to
Yeah.
myself, "This is crazy,"
Yeah.
and that's why I
But
really love you.
eventually,
Yeah,
it started out and we got that taken care of. But yes, guys, like you said, Cheryl, but like I said, it depends on what works for you and what your lifestyle is, and what you plan for the future. What you can do there. So let's see. So Jared says, do girls really plan their weddings before dating? Yes, most of us do. Not every girl's gonna do it now, but most of us do. Sometimes because I remember when I was like in my teens, like maybe like 12, 10, 11, 12, you read Cinderella stories, you have the fairy tale stories. I used to have paper dolls back then. You'd have the little costumes that you'd make them wear. And then, you're looking at wedding magazines sometimes. And you're like, oh, what kind of a dress would I wear? It's gonna be like or what kind of headpiece? Is it gonna be like a fountain? Is it gonna be like a little spray of flowers? Is it gonna be like like a kind of like a bell-shaped wedding gown? Is it gonna be like a one that's more like a silhouette shape? Is it gonna be a long dress with a
okay.
flowing train? Is it gonna be a short dress, tea length, spaghetti straps? So we do think about those things. It's just
Okay.
we're wired differently. There's some guys who think about it, but for the most part, the guy may just say, "Let me see. When I do get married, who would I want to be to stand up for me? Who's gonna be my best friend? Is gonna be my brother, my uncle, my son? You
Yeah, you
know,
see, guys think differently. We just think the basics, right? Women, they think that all the details of those things. So let the women do their thing, and you just stay in your lane and do your thing. If you get caught up in that, you will just, yeah, you'll get confused, right? Just take it from me. Just stay in your
I did
lane.
not confuse you.
No, and that's the thing. I stayed in my lane. So don't go there. Let them go. Just like, you see it growing up, the wives going shopping and the husbands go along, and then the husband sit out there and he's like, 3 hours later and stuff like that. I mean, it's different now, right? People do online shopping and stuff like that, but it's the same thing, right? Just know what your strengths are and
Hmm.
what you can deal with, and just be honest about it. And say, hey, you want that? Go ahead.
Some
This
guys,
I'm gonna do. I'll do this.
some guys are like, I'll just show up with the ring and the best man. Okay, you do everything else. Because, and that's the next point I was getting to though. But before I go any further, let me take a look here. So Tiffany says like Pinterest boards and everything. But some people do a little bit over the top. But I'm just saying that it's something that most women do. Not every woman now. We're not gonna like snowball everybody together, but it does
Okay.
happen like that.
Yeah. This is if we go down
Jared
that
put her study
wait,
just like I'm dead.
if we go down that path, this will be another chapter. So let's we'll come to that in another section.
Cheryl says, "Oh yes, Jared, we start everything in our mind, so and then working on making it a reality." Yes, that's a woman thing. Okay, so Tiffany said, even the details. Cheryl says, "I know I only wanted two, and that's it. Kudos to who wants a lot." Yeah, so as a people, they have to have this enormous, engagement ring, and this spend so much money on the wedding, and then when everything is finished, it's kind of like
What
you're
next?
broke. Where do we go from
Right.
here?
Right.
So you
Right.
have to stay in budget, and that's what I was going to talk about. The next thing,
Right.
moving on to the next thing, which is basically planning a wedding. First of all, make sure that you're not a person who just wants to have a wedding and doesn't want to have a marriage, because that happens quite a bit.
Right.
They want to have, oh, it's my day. Some people say, oh, yeah, I'm going to be a bridezilla or whatever, do whatever I want. It's going to be about me and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And they're very caught up in the wedding itself, but they're not caught up in the marriage and all the things that it takes, the step by step, the day to day, the ups and downs, because everything is in life has ups and downs. You're gonna have good days, you're gonna have bad days, all the different things that can unravel, and you have to be prepared for that if you want, your marriage to be a success. And regardless of whatever, and I've had people come in here like the last one, two people who were, divorced or whatever, broken relationships. Um, Even if you're happy to move on, it's always very draining on you,
Mm-hmm.
physically, emotionally, spiritually, all of that, because it's something that's going apart. Whenever things go apart, most times it's painful.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you're kind of like, I'm so glad to be out of that, there's still gonna be a part of you that has to go through the grieving stages, because that's a part of you that's been severed. It's gone.
Right.
And it may have been a lot of problems, but you didn't go into it with that in your intentions. So there's disappointment, there is loss, and all of that. So you have to go through the stages of grieving, and then you move on. And like I said, some people may be happy, like, oh my gosh, finally, or whatever, because sometimes it's dragging out for a while, whatever it is that you're trying to end. And so they're kind of happy, but still, there is still going to be a part of you that feels broken in it. And you kind of have to deal with that part as well, too. And again, we are not professionals, we're not counselors, we're just talking about our life
Right.
experiences, those things that we've seen with family, friends, and all of that, like how things unfolded. So we're not professionals, guys. We're just, giving it. This is real talk,
It's
straight
real
from the
talk.
heart. That's
Yeah.
where it's coming from. And our hope is that it will help you. And again, if you're coming on here for the first time ever, on our lives, we typically feature like a fruit or vegetable from the garden. We cook with those on our live videos. The regular videos are gardening videos, right? And today we're featuring roses, because I think that's a really good part of fostering good relationships, like flowers, which we'll talk about that a little bit as well, to include those sometimes.
But I to mention that, I mean, flowers, the roses especially, they have beautiful flowers and the petals and everything, but there's also thorns in there,
Yes.
right? So it just shows that
And
in
they're
life,
right here to prove it.
you got
Got thorns in there.
thorns and you have the beautiful flowers.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to basically navigate and take your time. Don't rush into anything. Take your time and examine so that when you reach to smell, to touch whatever, you won't get hurt, right? Take time to get to know people, take time to get to know yourself and all of that, because sometimes because you've not been in a relationship or you've had, like you're saying, other relationships and all that, you've not gotten a chance to really slow down,
Mm-hmm.
know you, know what you like, know who you love. Because I've met people before and they spent most of their lives trying to make other people happy
Mm-hmm.
instead of making
And then end up
themselves
being
happy.
very
So
sad.
you end up
Exactly.
being upset because nobody's making you happy. Nobody's putting all the effort to try to make you happy. But that's not their job. Your job is to make you happy.
And it's
And
not
it's a
being selfish
choice.
either,
It's a
because
choice that you make.
if you don't love yourself, you can't truly love someone else.
Exactly.
So you have to love yourself first, not to be selfish,
Hmm.
but to try to put your best foot forward, try to plan good things, speak, positive things into your life, set some, reachable goals and all of that, and just enjoy every single day that you get. There are ups and downs for each and every one, but we have to just try to navigate. And be sure to give me a thumbs up, by the way, guys. I'm
Yeah.
only seeing four. There've been a couple of you on here back and forth, so I'd appreciate that. So let's see. And this actually helps to send the video out. When they see it, it sends a video out to others
Mhm.
on the replay. Because most of my live videos, most of the views that I get are after. The last one was kind of like messy because we had some issues. I don't know what was going on there. We had some delayed starts and threw some people off. So the replay wasn't as it typically is. But anyway, I'm just saying that, a thumbs up appreciated because it kind of helps to push it. Some people they can't because they're watching on TV and it's kind of hard to navigate. I get that part too. But, we just
Yeah.
ask,
Yeah.
right? That's all we can do is ask. So
Yeah.
let me pick up where I was now.
You know, to hear.
So let me
Yeah,
see.
right there. Yeah, right there. That's where you were.
What Tiffany says, I'm not trying to be a bridezilla or anything, but I have a picture in my mind of the things I want for my wedding. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with
Yeah.
that. And you may change your mind about some of the things that you like, because as we, get older and our tastes change, our trends change, you may say, oh, I want to have a long dress. And then all of a sudden you're just like, maybe I'll just take a tea length dress, or I want to have a flowing trini. So, you know what? I just want to spray a flower. So it's subject to change, but
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with having like things in mind about what you want, and then you work towards it.
Yeah. And growing up, people had things like where they, I know it's a special day and stuff like that, but some people, because of budget and stuff like that, they rent a dress instead of buying a dress.
Nothing wrong with that either.
They may,
Rent a tux. Nothing
rent a
wrong with that
tux,
either.
or somebody might be pass one to you.
Don't rent a ring though.
Yeah, no, that's yours, and that's for life. But the key thing, like Marlene was saying, it's about the marriage, right? The day is important. You want to have a nice wedding and everything, but at the end of the day, you don't want to leave that wedding and then you go home. You be like, I got this big bill to pay, and then you spend the first 6 months to a year of your life paying
Stressed
down
out about
a
it, and
debt.
then you have
You don't need that.
financial
You should
problems.
be going into it growing, right? So when you're planning these things, plan ahead and let it be where things are covered, and you plan to make sure that you have money so that you can have a good marriage, because
Or
a lot of
another,
people have spent like tens of thousands
yeah,
of
another
dollars, and
another
and
option
then the
too,
marriage only lasts for like maybe 2 weeks, and I'm just like,
because of
you
all the
wasted all
stress
that
from it.
money.
That's why.
That's just wasting it
But
because you didn't get to know the person.
another thing too is sometimes people can you can maybe have like a smaller wedding, and then you can renew your vows a year
Exactly.
afterwards, 5 years afterwards, 10 years afterwards. You can make a big splash at that point if you
Yeah.
want. It just depends. There are different ways around it. But like I said, at the end of the day, yes, we want to have a wonderful wedding, but the marriage,
Is
what
what
you
is
plan
important.
and how you're gonna
Yeah.
live together and work things out together is the most critical thing. And counseling is very, very important.
Very important.
Yes,
Yeah.
counseling. You get counseling, whether it be from
Yeah.
a pastor or it be from a professional wedding counselor, whatever.
Yeah.
Counseling is very important. It's key because there are things that you're not gonna. You're so close with, you're so involved emotionally that there are things that you're probably not picking up, or things that you figure. Because sometimes you kind of know something. It's kind of like in the back of your mind, but if someone that doesn't like mention it or tell you for whatever reason, you just didn't think of doing it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So when you go to counseling sessions, then it helps. It puts things into perspective. So I'd say definitely, at least a couple. I'd say maybe at least four counseling sessions, before you get married, and not like, be them like at the very like right next to it. I'd say like if you're planning ahead, because some marriages happen really fast,
Yep.
and they work out perfectly fine. But if you have maybe like say a 4 month before the wedding date or more, I'd say start getting counseling maybe like about 4 months or maybe even 6 months out. Because
Yeah.
sometimes they'll meet with you like once per month or once every 2 weeks or whatever, and get as many sessions as you like. There is nothing wrong with that. Doesn't mean that you're in trouble or you're making a mistake. You just need to have the comfort level, and at the same time get some, pointers as to some other perspectives from someone who is, looking
Who has
from the
experienced that
outside in and
before?
has gone
Yeah.
through and seen enough situations to have some ideas.
Yeah. And when you
So,
go to counseling, take notes,
oh yeah,
and also be honest about it. Talk to them. Because one of the things that the one of our counselors did was ask, like, what do you know about Marlene, and then what does she know about me? What do you like? What you don't like, and all those things. So take that to heart, but also bear this in mind that people change. right? Not necessarily right away, but people will change over the years. So it's something that you practice, not just for that session there, but as you go along, just find out, okay, has the person changed? What do they like?
Mm-hmm.
You know, what has changed about me that do they still like me, or do they not like this about me, whatever? Because my wife keep asking me, and my sons too, what's your favorite meal? And I keep telling them, I said, hey, look, man, they
Funny
said,
you mentioned
they
that.
said curry goat or steamed fish or whatever, and
We're like,
or
please pick one.
oxtail.
We're like,
And
please pick
I said,
one.
look, it just depends what I'm
Mhm.
feeling that day. And I'm just like,
Pick
I'm
one.
not gonna eat oxtail for the rest of my life. I don't want to
Pick
eat curry goat
one.
for the rest of my life. Right?
It's just a
So
favorite. But
it's just a matter of for that moment, for that season, depending what it is.
understood. But there's some things though. I
Yeah,
mean, you
something
try to know
stands.
about the person,
Some things just
Because my
really
mom even surprised
always
me because when we were dating and she had said something like she said something that he had liked or something he had said, and I said to myself, "Wow, she thought of asking him that, and we're dating, and I never thought of asking him that." You know what I mean? Because she's a mother, she's looking on, she's thinking of certain things, but at the same time, you should know. Like if somebody says to you, "What is your spouse's or what is the person that you're dating? What is their favorite color?" You're like, I never thought to ask that. What's your favorite dish? What's your favorite kind of a date? What kind of if you were to travel, pick a country to travel to, what would it be? You know what I mean?
yeah,
Do you think they want children?
yeah.
Do you think they want to be a stay-at-home mom? Just and they seem like very like bullet points, 20 questions, but it's important because you kind of need to know what the person likes and what they don't like. Do you have any allergies to any foods? Uh, do you have
There's
any
too many
do
odds
you
right
have
there.
any medical conditions that I need to know about? You know what I mean? Do you
Yeah,
need an EpiPen? Something as simple as that.
yeah.
They're basic things,
And this is when you go further
into
into
the
the right,
relationship.
not the
Exactly.
very
Not at the very
beginning,
beginning.
because
No,
you
no,
can't
no.
give all that
Yeah,
information out,
right. And
right?
sometimes things can be used against you as
Right.
well. But I'm
So you
just saying,
basically
once you get to a
measure,
certain point,
measure.
there's some things, you're getting to the point of getting to get married and stuff. You should know these things.
Yeah.
And if any of you are out there right now, they didn't ask those questions, you should probably ask them after the live or
Yeah.
sometime, in the
Yeah.
next few
Later on.
days,
Yeah.
right?
And again, just pace it, measure it, see where you're at, and then you move along, right? Be intentional about it.
All right, so let me follow up on the comments before I go any further. So Tiffany says, what's most important is that it's not just the bride special day, it's also groom special day. It's about celebrating the union and the new chapter of life. Absolutely. So Jared says, then how do you know what you want versus need? Well, need are things that you kind of really need to survive, as opposed to something that, oh, that would, as I say, some things are need to have and some things are nice to have. Is it nice to have it? You can manage without it, or is it something like you need to have? You know what I mean? So you kind of have to figure out where to draw the line as far as what
Oh,
you need and what you want.
you missed one. Yeah, yeah, boy, that's it.
No, I haven't gone to that yet.
No, you did. You missed this one.
Mm-mm. Nope, nope. I'm
Yes,
coming
you did.
right to it. It's right
Right
here.
here.
I'm here. I'm right
Okay,
here.
okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So then Jared said, what is want versus what you need? So Cheryl said, breakups are never easy. That is true. We had talked about that a few minutes ago. I'm trying to catch up here, guys. Your boy says, if you want a great honeymoon, then let her have the best time of her life at her wedding. What does that mean at her wedding? No, it's both weddings, both of you.
But I understand what he said. You just make he says happy wife, happy life.
Yes.
I understand where you're coming from. But at the same time,
There has to be compromise on
even though
both
you're doing
sides.
that, enjoy yourself also.
Yes.
Enjoy yourself because you don't want to be. I did all this for you, so what exactly is it for me? I didn't get what I want or whatever, whatever.
Then you upset
Right.
afterwards.
So
You
make
know, you can
sure
interject a little
both of
bit.
you. So you communicate and you make sure it's a team thing, right?
Right.
People are not there to make you happy. You're there to make each other
Right.
grow
And to be
together.
happy in yourself
Right.
first. But yes, I
But
get what
I
you're
get what you're
saying. But
saying.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
get it. So then Bruce Lee says, as a man thinketh, so is he.
Yeah.
That is true. Cheryl says, oh, we need to scroll here. Cheryl says, in Jamaica, we do bridal registry. So after everything, we can have some cash to do whatever. Yes. And that's
Yeah.
a good one
That's
too,
good.
because we had done that because we were going to be, we were going to be migrating, which we knew this. So we told them not too many like physical gifts, but we had like like a wedding registry where you can give cash. And there's some what do you call them now? Some traditions, like some African traditions, where they
Or
come
Jewish
with
traditions
money, and
also.
you have like a little
Chinese,
money
Asian
bag.
traditions
Chinese
also.
too, because it's his
Yeah,
heritage. Part Asian. They have like little money bags, and they come and they give you money.
right.
Because they know that you just planned a big wedding,
And
right?
you're gonna have to,
Right, you're gonna need money to survive, and sometimes you may get pregnant very shortly after, and then it's kind of like, okay, now you have another mouth to feed, right?
right.
A place to furnish and all of that. So I'm just saying, so yeah, you can ask for cash in lieu of gifts, but it's nice to have one or two gifts, like momentums. Are you okay
Sorry.
there?
Yeah,
like like
memories.
like mementos, so you can remember that, because we have wedding gifts that people gave us
But
from 25 years ago, and
we
we
still
still
have
have
them,
them,
and
like
we're
a
still
cake mixer. I
using them.
still have it. We have some plates. We have a clock. It doesn't work anymore, but we still have it.
Yeah,
We
we have
have like
Pyrex
some
dish, glasses,
yeah, so we have a couple things, from them, but not too many things. But like I said, cash
box
is
set.
good too, to help you to offset.
Yeah,
And of course, if you have a rich uncle, it doesn't help, right?
it does.
Okay, so let me see now. Cheryl says, "Really, tell Neil what you not like about Marley." No, 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 no. We're not doing that today. Jared says, "Fight will break out." Tiffany says,
Hey,
"That's a scary question." But seriously though, that is a good point. Are there things about the person, which I'm gonna? That's the next bullet point here. Like when you argue, because that's gonna happen. That's
yeah, we're
eventually.
gonna touch
We're
that.
gonna get to that though.
Yeah,
But yes,
and we were
there are
famous
things
Jamaican
that
sing
you
for that. Yeah,
right. So so anyway, but there are things that you're not gonna like about the person, not that you hate it about them, but you wish that they would do it differently.
yeah,
You can always request, always get it, but it doesn't hurt to ask, right?
yeah.
Okay. So then Andrea says, yes, the critical questions about life's day-to-day decisions, whether you want to be a stay-at-home mom or how long you want to work for until you retire. Yes, little things
Yeah.
like this. And it may seem like a little thing, but it actually works out to be a big thing quite often, because you kind of really need to know these things.
Yeah.
So Cheryl says, yes, if your mom knows what your partner likes, that's a keeper. And that's true today. I always say, like, because I know it's a difficult subject. We could touch on in-laws too. But it really helps, like, if your mother is still alive or whatever, or your mother is with you, like if she approves of the person. It really goes a
Yeah.
long way. It really does. But we'll talk about in-laws when you come down to that next. So let me put this here so I don't forget that part of it. All right. So let me see now. So yeah, Andrew says, and sometimes you already know the answers, but you kind of ignore them, being
Right.
headstrong in it. And that's true
Right.
too. You have to be willing to make a little compromise here and there. So that way, you know that there's some things that I'm okay if I don't get that. And there's some things that I'm not okay if I don't get it. You
Right.
have to
So
have boundaries, and a little bit of flexibility, goes a long way as well too.
and at that and to that point, again, be honest with yourself. Be honest with each other,
Hmm.
because just saying, "Hey, you hope it will change," or "You think it will change," and all that, don't going to don't go down that road if you cannot deal with it, right? Because that's not fair to the person. That's not
Hmm.
fair to yourself.
Right.
It's like setting expectations that might not be realized, right? So you see the warning flags and
Hmm.
whatever, know what you can handle,
Right.
and then you make that decision at that point, right?
All right. So Sharon says, at this point, Jared, LOL. She says, no, I don't think so. Again, you guys are cracking up. Brucey says, not sure. I'm not sure what that's about, Bruce. Anyway, hello, Mama's Handprint. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is my husband, Neil, and we're on this live. Well, we usually are on the lives together anyway. Like I was saying
Sometimes,
earlier,
yeah,
yeah, most times, most times. Sometimes my sister will be on there too, but for the most, or rarely I'll be on there by myself. But most times we're on there. We're cooking something from the garden, whether it's my garden or someone else's garden, and that's featured as the fruit or vegetable for that particular live. And we'll do usually more than one meal or drink with whatever it is that we're featuring. So welcome, welcome, welcome. And Mama's Handprint, as a she's from Jamaica, so fellow Jamaican on there. We have a couple of fellow Jamaicans on here, where she has a lot of gardening stuff that she shows
yes,
you, and she also shows you like how to make sorrel, fruit cake, and all of those things. And her mom is
good
also in
stuff.
that as
Yeah,
well too. So she
nice.
says greetings on the chat. So everybody's saying hello, hello. Okay. So on to the next one now. So it's about when we when we argue.
Right.
And I'm gonna put I said this last year and I'm saying it again this year, and I'm not gonna change my feeling about it from my personal experience, from what I have seen. All couples should argue. But the question is, how do you argue? Because if a couple, in my opinion, if a couple never ever argues, I don't think the relationship is gonna work. And the reason why I'm saying that is because no two people are alike, even if you're identical twins. Because sometimes you hear they talk about the evil twin, right? So even though they, I mean, they call them biological clones in a sense because you look like each other. Everything is identical, right? Sometimes only the parents or the mother can tell the twins apart, but they still have a different spirit, a different personality. They like different things, all of that. So no two people are alike. So you're not gonna agree on everything.
Right.
And if you just keep everything bottled up inside and you never express it, there's gonna come a day when you can't take it anymore than the straw that broke the camel's back. You know that expression, right?
Right.
One tiny thing this small, all of a sudden, boosh,
Yeah.
everything just blows up. Why? Because you never ever stop to talk about what was wrong and to try to fix it. And that's why, because we have arguments, but when you argue with each other, you should not do it in a way that is demotivating to the person. Yes, they're gonna be upset because everybody wants to figure that they're right and their point is right,
Mhm.
etc., etc., etc. But you should not demean the person, like personally attack them, like oh, you're so stupid, oh, you're an idiot, oh, you're so ugly, oh, you're so like that.
Yeah.
Those things are things that most times you cannot recover from, and even if you maybe like makeup or whatever, it's gonna stick in the back of your mind, and you're not gonna get past it. It's gonna keep coming up. You know what I mean? And it really can really hurt the relationship or sometimes even end it. So yes, there has to be like healthy discussions. And like my husband says, he says he doesn't hide like if we disagree in front of our children because we want him to
Right.
understand
How to
that
resolve conflicts.
right, because even
And that
fairy
it's
tales
it's
have
that
ups and downs in
it
them.
happens that life has its challenges.
Yes, because
And
I
it's
don't agree with everything that my husband does. He doesn't agree with everything that I do, right?
hey,
So we have to have a discussion about it.
that's why we're married, right?
Right. And some people they're very non-confrontational, so they just don't want to talk about it. But you have to find a way to get them to talk about it. But don't be aggressive.
And
Don't be like demeaning to the person. Sometimes they say, you should never go to bed angry. I cannot say I've never ever done that, and I'm just being honest. Sometimes I just don't want to talk about it right
yeah,
now because it
and
just happened,
and the thing
and I want to
is,
go to my bed,
right?
and it's gonna take a long time. You know what I mean? So that's probably a good policy, but I'm just saying that it doesn't always work for me. So just being truthful about it. You know what I mean?
And another thing too. I mean, God gave you one mouth, 2 ears, right? The Bible says, "He that keepeth his tongue keepeth his life," right? And the thing is, there's power of life and death in the tongue.
Mm-hmm.
When you say something, you cannot
Can't
take
take
it
it
back,
back. That's right.
right? And I always say when I go to weddings, I said teeth and tongue will meet, right? So it means that when you're there talking, arguing, your teeth will bite your tongue. It's gonna hurt, right? So the bottom line is you have to face reality that these
It
things
is gonna
will
happen.
happen.
It will happen in
And the
any
thing
healthy
is,
relationship.
you
It
have to
will.
agree and decide within yourself that when this happens, how am I going to handle it? It's part of what you do before you get married. You look at when you guys disagree, how are you going to handle it? That's part of the thing that you hear about in counseling,
Mm-hmm.
right? And like you said, certain things you don't say and
Right.
you don't do, right? Like my mom would tell me, never hit a woman, never hit a woman.
Walk away.
You're upset. Take
Walk
a
away.
walk, cool off, think about it, think about what you're gonna do, think about what you're gonna say, and then, right, think about the consequences of what would happen if you did those things.
Right.
Because today, I mean, I see people get upset and get angry, and they just do something stupid,
Mm-hmm.
and guess what?
Not worth it.
They end up in jail.
Not worth it.
So think, don't just lose your cool and whatever. It's a pride thing. So just what? Just walk away. Just cool, and then get your mind together, be the champion, and then and also, you know what? You can also go back to the person and say, hey, you know what? You said this and I didn't like it, but maybe I misunderstood what you're saying. Were you actually saying this, or did I misunderstood what you're saying? Misunderstand
Misunderstand.
what you're saying? Because sometimes you may misunderstand what is being communicated because
Perception, and
yeah,
they say perception is reality,
you
and
think
that in
it's
your
they're
mind,
saying this or they're
and
saying
that
no,
is
that's not what I'm
not what they
talking
were
about. I'm
saying
talking
at
about
all.
this. So you go, oh, okay, well, sorry. All right, let's start over, and
Right.
you clear the air, you just work through it,
Move on
right?
from there. Yeah.
But ask questions if you're not sure.
And then the next thing that some people may want to have like a cooling off period,
Yeah.
because some people are like that, they want to decompress. Because sometimes it may be a man, he may go and decide, let me go work on the car right now. I don't want to talk about it right now. I'm going to go wash the car or something. And that's his way of decompressing. Maybe
Yep.
some people may want to go and just like lift weights or something like that. And that's their thing, to work it off, but just don't storm out and drive off angry, because when you that will
Yes, you
sometimes
get
get you in
the devil
problems,
will be waiting for you. You get
Right,
into an accident or
exactly. So
something
just
stupid like
just
that.
find a way to
Just yeah,
decompress, do
yeah,
something maybe for a woman or even a man, whatever the case. You may just want to go wash some dishes or something. You may want to go and read a book, read the Bible, just different ways, but try to decompress,
yeah.
before you kind of like get back in it again. And just like I said, like we said before, just don't demean each other, attack the person verbally, because you can't take those things back, and it
Right.
really will destroy your relationship. So let me see what we have here. So it can be challenging when there's no compromise. I often hear folks say wives must be submissive. Marlene, how submissive should a wife be? Well, that is biblical. There's submissive and there is submissive. And it really is a
Mhm.
two-way street. This we are faith-based people. So, we believe in what the Bible says. There is submissive, right? But you have to look at it in the whole context, because people just pull that one verse out. Look at everything together, right? If the husband or the man in the relationship treats his wife the way that Christ treats the church, which says that he would lay down his life for the church, right? That means he loves you, he makes you feel secure, and all of that. Of course, you're going to want to do what he asks you to do. And he, in turn, will reverence his wife, right?
Right.
It's a two-way street. But I mean, if you're in a situation where the person is, like physically
Abusive.
abusing you, you're not going to just lie down and let somebody beat you, and no, that's not
Yeah.
right. So you have to look at it in context.
Right.
As one of my sons would say, he says, context clues, mom. So you have to look
Yeah.
at the whole picture. You can't just pull a little verse out and just use the one verse to kind of like get your point across. No, what is the whole thing saying?
Yeah.
If the person treats you the way Christ treats the church, which means that they love you, they respect you, they make you feel secure, right? And of course, you'll do what they ask you to do. And likewise, you ask them to do something if it's in their power, because they love you so much and they care for you so much, they'll do the best they can to help you. So that is my take on the
Yeah.
submissive
And the
part.
thing is, like Marty was saying, you have to look at the whole picture because it then goes on to say, husband, love your wife as Jesus, did, and it explains the whole thing. It also shows, parents, how you deal with your children and all that. So you have to look at the whole picture. And remember, like I always tell my boys, I said, whatever you do it as unto God. So because when I'm here, we're talking about conflict and stuff like that. There are times when I've been upset and I go to God and I said, Lord, I won't tell you. This is your daughter. And right now, I'm not feeling it. So you tell me if I'm wrong or if she's wrong, but I need to hear your side of the story because right now my head is just going in circles right now. And God will talk to me and He will tell me, you are wrong if I'm wrong. Or He may say, guess what? It's not a matter of right or wrong. You're not hearing each other. So pray and then go talk to her. And I'll do that. And I'll come back, right? It's not easy. But
And we have reverse roles as well,
say
because
you're sorry. Say
yeah,
you're
and
sorry
that's
if
the
you're
thing.
wrong.
That's it right there.
Say you're sorry. And saying you're sorry doesn't mean that you're weak. It means that you acknowledge that you are wrong. And then you're gonna look at how you can make it right. Right? Because you want to build each other up.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So yeah, and like you said, sometimes you just have to pray about it. Like the person is offending you or upsetting you.
Yeah.
You have to pray and ask God the best way to. And then, like I said, we are faith-based people, so that is gonna come into the discussion, as well. But yeah, you can, and apologize is very important. So I would say definitely do that. It's definitely key, and don't be like, "Ah, that's not really
Yeah.
an apology.
I'm
And if
sorry
you're not ready to
because you
apologize
said
yet,
to say
wait
sorry.
until you
Yeah,
are.
don't do
Don't
that.
just give a fake one because, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Not
yeah,
really, and
yeah.
people feel that. They can tell that it's not
Yeah,
genuine. So why
yeah.
bother waste your time? It might make them even angrier than they were before. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yes.
Then you gotta then you gotta you come with sorry times two,
Right,
right? No, no,
exactly.
sorry times sorry squared.
Can you tell we're having fun here?
Woo.
Because it happens on both
Yeah,
sides. I offend him, he offends me. That's life. Like I said, it is going to happen. And, that's how life is. And you have to kind of talk about it in the best way that you see fit.
yeah,
All right, before I go to the next one, let me go ahead and catch up on the comments here.
yeah. And just one quick thing on that. What?
No, I'm trying to catch up the
Okay.
comments
Yeah.
because we're falling behind. So Cheryl says, for me, when I get extremely upset, I don't talk, so I don't say hurtful things I can't take back. And that's what we're saying. The way
Yeah.
you do it,
Yeah.
but you still have to address it. Don't just if somebody was really offensive to you in your relationship, you need to address it, but do it in a way that in bite-sized pieces that they are able to accept and they can deal with. But you still have to address it because, like I said, if you never ever argue because you're just like, oh, I don't want to upset them, da, 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 the day is gonna come when it becomes too much for you and you're gonna walk away or it's
Woo!
just gonna blow up.
Blow up.
So you
Yeah.
really have to address it. And she says, but I don't play up what she said, I don't plan to cuss or something because it makes my head hurt me and he knows. So Mama's handprint says relationship is a compromise and should be allowed to express yourself in a respectful manner.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And that's what we were saying. So Andrea is saying hi to Cheryl. See, I really need to catch up with the comments here. Yeah, it says lifting weights eases my mind. Yeah, whatever works for you to kind of like
Yeah.
decompress and unwind
Deflect,
until you're ready to
but
get
still
back to it.
address it.
Yeah, but address it
Just
the
don't.
right way, the
Yeah.
right
Make
way.
sure you address. If you're
Hmm.
not, and also if you can write it down. Just in case you forget.
So Yard Boy says, yes, Marlene, arguing to express yourself and your point is healthy. However, be careful not to argue to hurt the next person's feelings.
Exactly.
Exactly. You really have to be respectful
Yeah.
because again, once you ring the bell, you can't unring it. You know what I mean? So I would say that's a definite big one there. So Cheryl says, walking away works, trust me, but get to the bottom and work it out. Yes, and don't let it stay for too long, like a week after. Because they say to when you argue, don't use the word always. And I'm guilty of that
Yeah.
sometimes. And I've tried to change it over the years. I'd be like, oh, you always say so and so. He's just like, it's not always. And I'm just like, that's true. I say, oftentimes,
Sometimes.
sometimes, whatever works, but don't say always because always means without exception.
Exactly.
And nobody always is, wrong in everything or a particular thing that they do. Or I can say you usually, that's another good word again to use in place of that. So Cheryl says, no, here it says, context is key in all of life. Absolutely. Tiffany says, so true. And Cheryl says, I like that context clues. Yes. My older son said that he said, go for context clues because if you just like pick little parts out, like with the submissive wife thing, that can, really carry you down the wrong line.
Right.
Again, once a husband, respects, treats his wife like Christ treats the church, he'll treat her the right way. He'll love her. He'll respect her. And therefore, if he asks her to do something, then she will do it if it's within her means. And likewise, because he loves her that much, he'll do what she asks him to do. So let's see. Hey, gardening with Stacy is here. Hi, Stacy. Welcome, welcome. I'm so glad to see that you're back on your gardening video. She has wonderful, wonderful container garden ideas.
Yeah.
You can see the things that she grows, lots of fruits and veggies. So check her out. Let me give also a shout out to, let me see here, shout out to Andrea's Kitchen Thyme, Thyme. That's her cooking channel right there. That's my sister. And we have Mama's Handprint here, does all the island stuff. And we have Higher Realms Holistics. Hi, my loves from Florida. You guys are an inspiration. Oh,
Thank you.
thank you. Aw, thank you so much. You're such a sweetie. That's her channel right there as well, too. And Tiffany says hello.
Holistics.
So they're
Okay.
saying hello, yes. And then gardening. Also, they're saying hi to each other. And I love when you guys chat with each other. It says, so sweet of you, Neil, to warm my heart. Absolutely. Such a husband. Absolutely. And I am very thankful for that. Jared
Let's
says,
pray for us,
did you
man.
say a
That's
podcast
God.
when?
That's God.
Yeah, that is to come in the future. We'll see how
Yeah.
that goes. Maybe we could switch these over to a podcast or something.
Yeah.
So
Just a
moving
thought.
along. Andrea says, so true. Love the example you guys said. Well, by God's grace, we do it. We cannot do it in our own strength. And
And a
that's why
lot
we
of
try to
prayers.
give
A
all
lot
of,
of
oh, yeah,
prayers.
for sure. Because,
Is
no, like I said, there are
yeah.
no perfect people, so there's
Yeah,
no
and I'm
perfect
taking the credit
marriage.
for it. He's the one that
Can't,
helps
you
to
know?
keep us in line.
Sure says, trust me, Andrea, I want to be just like them when I grow get big. Well, honestly, I wouldn't say be like us. Just pattern
Be
yourself
like the
like
one that we
Christ and the
follow.
church.
Be
Like I
like the
said, the
one that
way
we
how he
follow.
would lay down his
Yeah,
life for
he's
the
the one.
bride, which is the church, and then the bride reverences her husband, and that's basically it. You work together and you do it together because, as I say all the time, I mean I've seen it happen so many times in life. The minute somebody puts you on a pedestal, watch out,
Yeah,
you just put a bullseye on
yeah.
yourself. I
And
kid you not.
that's
I've
why I
seen it
say,
so many
you
times
know,
in my life. The minute somebody puts you on a pedestal is the minute somebody's kind of like,
yeah,
oh boy, here we go.
yeah. And that's why I say, it's nothing me, nothing her. God is the one that do it. And also, people like you praying for us, and I pray for everybody here.
Right.
Yeah.
So they're saying hi to each other here again. Cheryl says, sincerely though, these two represent true love and marriage ought to be. All right. Well, thank you for that,
Thank
Cheryl.
you. And just keep praying.
So we
Thank you.
were touching on, when you argue and stuff, and this is kind of like a dovetail in a sense to like in-laws, whether they're your in-laws, whether you're married already, you're dating or whatever, in-laws to be or whatever, right?
Mhm.
And like we stated before, just because we'll touch and go, and different parts are kind of like interwoven. But as far as in-laws goes, you want to make sure that you have the blessing of your family for your relationships is very important because people are hardwired for their family, and you really want to make sure that the families get together. I mean, they don't have to be like buddy buddies and hang out like every weekend, but just to say that I approve of the choice that you made, and I'm here to support you because
Right.
most times when the family, whether it's both sides or even one side, doesn't approve and they give the couple a hard time, most times it doesn't work out because I've seen that personally. I know someone there it did work out personally. They were of different faiths. It's still within the Christian religion, or well, one was Christian, one was Jew. Let's put it that way. I won't say who did what, but the one party had like special meals that they ate, and the husband's mother would not show the new wife how to cook the meals, so because she didn't approve of them, but the marriage lasted anyway. She got
Right.
recipe books and she learned how to cook those meals, and they got along really well together.
Yeah, that's a husband and a wife.
Yeah,
She
so
she just respected the fact that they don't accept me. I'm not gonna try to force them or to change it. And the husband respected, whatever, but he made sure that he stood by
was
his
there for
wife.
his
He
wife.
stood
Yeah,
by his wife.
yeah.
So that's the thing. It's just not a matter of you're gonna ignore it, but together you have to be committed to each other, right? It's not like today he's here and when he's over there with his mom or his family or whoever, he's bashing his wife. No, he's respecting and he's loving both and letting both understand, hey, you respect the next person, right? He doesn't allow any crossfire, anything like that.
But I'm sure you can see that someone is going to be torn because
Yeah,
let's say
it's
you're
hard.
the mother-in-law doesn't like the husband or doesn't like the daughter or whatever. I mean,
Yeah,
the in-law or whatever, and it's like it's this constant back and forth. That's very stressful for a
yeah.
person. You don't want to be living that way all the time. So I mean, they don't have to be like, oh, I really love this person, but at least they're kind of like accepting of it,
Hmm.
and you stand a better
Respectful.
chance. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? So it will work out if it's even neutral. I don't love her, I don't hate her. I don't love him, I don't hate him. But if they're just like, I do not like this person with you, I will not support you in any way, shape, or form, most times it doesn't work out. It really
and
doesn't.
and I don't mean to jump back on the other thing, but even when you're having arguments and stuff like that, don't take it back, to whoever. That's
Yeah, that's
something
what I
that
was gonna
that's
say.
something that both
Hmm.
of you work out together, because if you do that, you're forcing your family, to take sides. And then when you guys have moved on,
Hmm.
they're still
They're
thinking,
still back
they're
there.
still back there thinking about it, and it's not fair to them,
Hmm.
right? So you put them in an awkward position. So be wise as to how you vent and
And who you tell
com-
your business to,
and
and of
complain
course,
about, right? Because like I said,
careful what you say because
I've seen it before. People they do that, and their best friend get involved and all that, and then guess what? They make up back together, and the best friend is out there like
what happened? You
What
know what I
happened?
mean?
And then
Exactly.
and then they turn against the best friend. So
Yeah. Or they
you know,
even the information that you give to them can be used against you
right,
in your marriage and everything.
right,
So you kind of have to guard it. It's
yeah.
really
Just be
precious.
wise.
So
Just be
you want to, and
wise.
it's the same
Yeah,
thing for your relationship too, because we're talking to people who are single, people
yeah,
who are divorced,
yeah. Even
people who are
friends,
dating,
work.
people who just be careful with some of the things. Because sometimes I see some things that people put out on social media about
Do
their
not
spouse. Why would you
do
do
that.
that?
Don't do that. You
I'm
can't
not
take
trying
it
to be
back. You're
judgmental, but
telling
I'm
the
just
whole
saying, why
world.
would you do that?
Don't do that.
Don't
Mm,
do that because I mean now everybody sees it and
yeah,
it's kind of like out there. You kind of have to work it. Of course, it's good to, and sometimes if you figure that there are not enough people you can trust that you can tell them, what you're going through. There are professional counselors,
hmm,
there are pastors, there are people that you can talk to and explain to them what's going on so they can kind of help you. But once you ring those bells, you can't unring them, and then
yeah,
it's kind of like it puts a strain on it. So I would just say be careful what you share. I'd say if you can tell them it's something that if it came out to everybody, it
it
wouldn't
doesn't
matter.
matter. Exactly.
If it is gonna matter, then don't tell them. Find, like professional help or someone who really will be. Because sometimes you can have some parents and they really love both of you and they want you to be successful and you know this in your heart. You can tell them, and as a good parent, they'll look at you and say, here's what you could do, or give
Right.
it some time, or try this, or but if it's just somebody who never liked the person from the start, you're not gonna get anywhere with that. That's
Yeah.
just gonna be like another reason to not make this work. You know what I
Right.
mean? So
Yeah.
that's just my 2 cents there. The next thing now is to try to do things together, and that can be so many things, like hobbies. And again, so as YouTube channel is my thing here, one of the things that I do. And my husband is the one who quite often he has a camera and he filming me like I'm doing my intros or whatever. Sometimes my son will help me out, and of course things when I'm behind the camera, not in front of it, you'll see that I'm just doing that for myself. So that's something that I am doing personally. But like that, it's good to have your spouse's support, or the person that you're dating have your support in what you're doing, because you wanna move forward. And if they don't approve of it, you're gonna get like all kinds of objections, just different things happening. So you really would want to get their approval that they're okay with you doing this, especially if it's at the point of marriage. You know what I mean? Sometimes people belong to different organizations and it takes up a lot of their time.
Right.
And so you want to know that the person really is on board. Maybe you want to take up a higher office that's going to have you being away a lot or whatever. And you're kind of like, I really don't like that part of it. Can you choose something that doesn't have you away as much? But just kind of like, do things together and just, make sure you're on the same playing field. I don't want to go too far down. Let me see. Stacey says thanks and say hello to each other there. Carol says, sincerely though, these two represent, oh, I said that already. Stacy says, people always think my marriage has no obstacles because I share nothing that's between me and my husband. And that's it. I mean, if, like I said, if I share something that's happening between us, then it's going to be something that I don't care if everybody hears it. You know what I mean? Because you will have things that you disagree on. And for example, this is not like anything that we disagree on per se. We have things that we do disagree on,
Hmm.
right? And some things you just have to accept. And okay, this is probably not going to change. Let me just go ahead and accept it, right? But for example, it can be a very simple thing, like the toilet paper. Do you have the toilet paper come over, or do you have it come under? And if the person doesn't like it, just try not to do it. It's a very simple thing. The person doesn't like when the toilet paper comes under, they prefer if it comes over. All you have to do is just stick it in the other way. Don't try to be an irritant. Oh, they don't like the way I do it, so I'm going to keep doing it. Is it really worth it? Or the
Choose
person
your
who,
battles.
you know what I mean? So it's kind of, I'm going to put it over because he hates it over. I'm going to put it under because she hates it under. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
Life is short. It's not worth it. Another one is like the toothpaste. Some people squeeze it from the middle. Some people squeeze it from the bottom. And you'd be surprised the arguments that come because of something like that.
Lord have mercy. That's just
So
that's just stupid, but hey, whatever.
it sounds
I
stupid,
know
but that is
it's
the reality for some people. You get what
that's
I'm
another
saying?
level of OCD. But
Yes.
hey,
Not necessarily, but but some people, I'm telling you, it could even be like the paper towel. Do you pull the paper towel, the vertical one to rip this way, or do you rip it that way? You know what I mean? So it could be
well,
just
left
some
hand,
very
right
simple
hand.
thing. But
Okay.
if it's an easy fix and it bothers your spouse or it bothers, your person that you're dating or whatever, and of course, just make the change. I mean, it's life is short. It's not really worth all of that to be there sticking it to someone when you're trying to make a life of happiness together. That's really not gonna get you anywhere.
And sometimes, I mean, if the person doesn't change or whatnot,
Mm-hmm.
it's something that I've been learning. We do motivational stuff at work and stuff like that. You can choose to get upset about something, or you can choose to just say, you know what, it's small. It's a small deal. It's not.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna let this thing wreck my day, and you just move on. So you don't have to have everything perfect. You just choose to just, okay, some things work, some things don't work. But it's not a big deal. It doesn't kill you. So just move on to what is important.
Yeah. And like
Yeah.
with this, we're still on the hobbies and stuff, just little things that you do. Sometimes you can start one. Maybe you don't have anything that you enjoy together. You could probably start something. It could be gardening. This is a gardening channel, so I'm always going to be promoting gardening. It could be indoor gardening. It can be outdoor gardening. You can have just a balcony and you grow stuff on there. And nowadays, people are trying so hard to,
Cooking.
do stuff. Maybe you like to cook together. We
Yeah.
cook together in our lives all the time. Maybe you like to take trips together. You can go on trips together.
Yeah.
Maybe you like playing chess. You can maybe join like a chess group. Maybe you like bowling. You can join like a bowling league or something like. Is that what they call it? Bowling league.
Yeah.
Like a bowling team or league or whatever they
League.
call it. Just there are different things that you can do together. Maybe you like to paint. You can maybe find like a like a art group that you guys can be a part of together. Maybe you're somebody who's into health and fitness, so you like to jog. You can go along and jog together. If time allows you to do it.
Sing.
But just
Write
doing
poetry.
things together, it helps. I mean, you're not going to be around each other like every single hour of the day because everybody needs a little change here and there. Doing different things. But at the same time, try to do that, and
Sports.
yeah, so like sporting activities, maybe like volleyball or something like that. So whatever works for you there. This one is a big one here, and this one is money.
Yeah.
But before I get to that, let me take a look. I don't want to get too far behind on the chat here. Cheryl says, I had a bad mother-in-law once. Now she and I are so good because I am not in that family like that again. So sad though when some parents want to choose for you. Yeah, and that
Yes.
happens sometimes,
Yeah.
like the
I see
parents,
that happening.
yeah, oh, I know one, it was miserable for them. Oh my gosh, because the mother had a certain person in mind for her
Still
son.
is for
The
the.
mother had a certain
Yeah.
person in
Pray
mind
for
for
them.
her son, and he chose someone else, and she just never came on board. I mean, I didn't get to go to their wedding. I didn't get to go, so I don't know.
No.
Probably was like a small wedding or something. I don't know what they did, but we didn't go to their wedding or anything. But anyway,
We didn't know about it.
even when
Yeah.
they had a child, she only met the child one time, and she lived less than 1 hour away. Can you believe that? I mean, this happened maybe like when the child was up to about a year old. She only met the child once. So you're less than an hour away. And that's how she took it so personal because she didn't get what she wanted as the mother of the groom. And it's just like, this is putting strain on the relationship. And I'm not sure because it's been years and I'm not sure if the relationship worked or not. I really couldn't say. But I know that things like those would put a strain. So if you love your child and they love someone and there isn't like, I mean, because sometimes there are really things that you can like, this is really scary. I'm really scared for you. I understand in those situations, but it was just some little casual thing, because I had this person in mind, and you didn't choose them, or this person doesn't have enough money, or something like that.
Mm.
I really think it's something to get past and think of, what makes your child happy and just keep going from there. So let me see. Tiffany says the things that go on within the relationship stays within the relationship. When there is no privacy, more people judge, and that's
Yeah.
true too. So and
Yeah.
like I said, there are boundaries. You have to put those in place within reason. I'm not sure what that emoji is. You want to give me some hearts, you can do that too. I take those and thumbs up, of course. Thank you for the ones I see so far. I appreciate it. So Mama's handprint says simple things can cause unnecessary arguments to spiral out of control. And that's it too. You may end up arguing just like, now how did we get, and even not just necessarily like, romantic relationships, even just regular relationships in life.
Yep.
You're like, how did we get here?
Oh man.
That we're not
Remember.
even
Remember.
speaking to each other. One little
Person
thing
you
and just
met.
kind of like gone all the way over. I'm just like, oh my goodness, that is just crazy.
Yeah. Remember the experience with the person 4 years ago? You told us about, this misunderstood the person's
Mm-hmm.
facial expression, and the person could have just been having a bad day,
Mm-hmm.
but we thought otherwise. But
Yeah. Yeah, I misunderstood someone one time and I
worked
thought
it
I
out,
said this
and
person
we
probably
were just
really
like,
doesn't
wow.
like me. I was like, why did I do
We
that?
could have made a wrong,
Right. And then, all of
judgment,
a sudden, no, I
but God
had,
cleared it up. So
yeah, I had an interaction with the person again, and the person was just kind of like so sweet. I'm just like, my goodness, if I had died yesterday, I would not have known that this person didn't hate my guts. So it can happen in regular relationships too. So I'm just saying that, all that to say that, sometimes some things are, there's things you can see past and just move on because, like I said, life is short and you have to enjoy the journey. The pandemic has certainly taught me that, if nothing else, that much I
yeah,
can tell you.
people stay home and be like, oh Lord, I didn't know I married this person. They start acting crazy. I mean, you
No,
know.
no, I mean, it showed me that life is short.
Yeah,
So
but
you kind of like,
I'm saying it put a lot of stress on a lot of families
well, that's true
because it
too.
caused people to be at home, and not be out. I mean, in their workplace and all that, and
Hmm.
people got
Can't
on
run
the
away from the issues.
people
And
had to
that's
face
why,
whatever is there.
you have to
So,
address them
and they realize,
respectfully.
hey, I didn't know this person. I didn't know that they did this, and da, 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 and so it was hard, but it had its benefits.
Yeah. But yeah, but that's why you have to kind of like, address issues as they arise. And like we said before, when you talk about arguments when they arise, to do it respectfully, don't demean the person so that you can actually, you can keep going. I keep getting this pop up right here. Let me go ahead and close it. Okay, so she says, Tiffany says, arguments over minor things are never worth it. Absolutely not. Tizzy says, wow, that's sad. Yeah, and that's the story. Toothpaste. What she said,
You'd be
it's
surprised.
not that serious. But I'm telling you, there are stories, there are real stories about it. The toilet paper.
Hmm.
Because I mean, I've even seen Facebook on there, and it kind of like had a poll or something, and people were comments there, but I'm just like, oh my gosh. I guess people are still very emotional about it. Like, why can't you just put it to go over? Nobody does that. I mean, nobody does this. They do that. And it's kind of like, oh my
Yeah,
gosh, here we go again. Sometimes you just gotta compromise to move on, depending on what it
yeah.
is.
But
But anyway,
I
we
tell
were
you what, you
talking,
don't like it, you just fix it yourself. That's it, man.
and that's just the thing that they don't want to have to keep fixing it because the person knows they don't like it and they still keep doing it.
Okay.
But I'm saying,
Okay, so we'll just invent a toilet paper thing that goes one way and a twin one that goes the
do it
opposite way.
vertical, and they'll say it shouldn't go that way, it should go that way. So
It's one
it's
the
always
twin
gonna be
one goes
something.
this way, one goes the other way.
Right, put two on a twin roll. You put yours over, I put mine under. There's one. Like this pastor we knew.
Uh, it's okay.
Not any of our personal pastors, if any of our pastors ever watch this. But he used to, he's someone who likes to be very early. So he said, like, when there were things like if you got invited to go to another church or whatever, because we were visiting there for a group that we belong to, and he was saying that his wife, no, like he is someone who likes to be early. So sometimes he has like a meeting or to preach somewhere, present or whatever, and he'll be there like 45 minutes earlier or to half an hour early. And his wife is a woman who likes to be there like 5 minutes before the time. She does not like to be that far ahead. And he said, you know what she started doing? She started just driving herself. So she would let him go. And then she'd come. And that was her compromise to find peace.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm just like, I wish it were different, but I can understand what she's saying. She's not preaching, she's not doing any of that. And then he would go ahead and be there like 45 minutes, just sitting down there looking, nobody there yet. Maybe just, a few
Well,
people
he's praying,
preparing or
preparing himself.
whatever. But she's just kind of like, there are things I could be doing. Why am I sitting here and this happens like every time? So she found her compromise at work. She drove herself and she got there like 5 minutes still and she was fine. So, sometimes there are ways you can, work it
Work
out
around.
so it works out. All right. So we were talking about money and everybody has their own different way that they deal with money. And some people believe that in shared accounts, some people believe that they should not share accounts. I know over here some people they believe in, like looking at people's credit ratings. That's everyone has to decide how they're gonna do, but you need to agree on it.
Yeah.
Because some people want to know, do you have bad credit? Because if your credit is bad in Jamaica and the islands, it doesn't matter because it's not a
Well,
credit-based society. Not that much.
I'm not sure how it is now.
No,
So
no,
if
no. Yeah,
you
it's
guys
not.
can tell me if that's changed. Because before I never had so many credit cards, but now it's like
Yeah.
credit card crazy down there now. So that may have changed. So you guys can comment and let us know about that part of it. But yeah, like
Yeah,
you're
but
saying, you gotta be
like especially like in America, and I guess there are other countries, that are like that. Credit is important. So you maybe want to buy a house together and you can't because the person's credit is shot and you had no idea until you went to closing.
Okay.
Now what? You know what I mean? So some people they want to know, what is your credit rating like? Do you have good credit? And sometimes they may want to see like, do you ever pull like your annual credit report to just see what it looks like so you kind of know what you're doing, just so you know what you're getting into. And some people are okay with that. They can maybe find ways to help you to improve your credit score so it can be better by the time you're ready to get a house. Because almost everything now, even to get like an apartment, they're gonna look at your credit to see, what kind of ratings you have. And that's gonna cause your price to be higher if your credit is poor.
Right.
So, if you're young, of course, you're not going to have any credit. It's something that you
Yeah. So
work for over
you're
time,
young.
right?
You're just gonna try to build your
Try to
credit.
build it over time.
Right.
Don't ignore it. If you don't understand credit, there are different books you can read, different articles, different things on Google or whatever. Look it up and see what they say. So this is something that you don't have to be taking as a burden into your relationship, because finances are one of the top. I think it's within the top five, if not the top three reasons why marriages fail, because of bad financial practices. You have one person who likes to spend, one person who likes to save, just different things. Some people they want to have like separate accounts for everything. Some people may have a joint account for one thing. Or some people may say, I'll pay the mortgage, you pay all the utility bills, blah, 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 just different things.
Yeah.
But you work out things like those before you get married. So you know exactly what you're getting into, and you know how that's going to fall into place, because it's important. Bible talks about money.
And again, you know, as with everything else, if you need help, get help. For those things, because it is important, and you want to make sure that you guys conquer it together. So,
Right.
You know.
So the next thing is health. And there are studies that say that men who are married, or like in a steady relationship, they tend to live longer, or have better health. And they say it's because most times men, you see the smile on his face already, he knows where I'm going with this.
Hey.
They said men who are married or in relationships, they tend to have better health. I mean, outside of living in your parents' house, of course, because the wives typically tell them to go to the doctor, because most men, and again, I'm not going to say all men, most men do not like going to the doctor. It is what it is.
Amen.
And then when they get to a certain age in life, there are certain tests that they do not want to do, like the prostate test at 40 years old, especially, like for people who are people of color, there are higher frequencies of, prostate cancer happening in them. So the prostate test is really important to do. But again,
And that's why we grow our own food, and we try to eat healthy, right? Right, Stacy? Yeah.
you still got to do it, okay?
Look,
Once you get to 40, you
there's
need
certain
to
things
do
in
it.
life.
It was a struggle. It took me about a year
Look
and a
here,
half for
man.
him to go and do
Look
it when he
here.
turned 40.
You- Look here.
It is invasive, but then the procedure for women, that is invasive too. I mean, and they used to have us doing like those like pap smears, like, every year. No, it's gone like to every 3 years, unless, something suspicious is showing. It's gone now like to every 3 years. But the test that they do on women is very invasive, in my opinion. To me, I think it is even more unnatural
Well, that is why I
than what
say.
happens for them.
That's why I say, "Come, Lord Jesus, come." You hear me? Come.
So Stacey says, LOL, yes, amen. She cracking up. Jared says, no, 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 no. I'm not doing that test. Well, I don't know. You're younger,
It's
so maybe by
okay.
the time you get to be 40, maybe they can just take a blood
It's
test and
okay.
they can find out,
God will come before, God will be here before that happens, brother. God is
You
coming.
see the pushback I'm getting right here. This is what I'm telling you, right? You can have to say, go to the doctor. They may be having like stomach pains, maybe like chest pains or something. Go to the doctor. Go and do your annual physical exam, because if you know what's going on, right, you can catch something early, so you kind of have a better chance of getting cured, or at least being able to treat the condition before it gets out of hand.
Yeah.
I'm getting a little thirsty. Can you put some water in here for a
Sure.
second for me, please? So he'll be right back.
Mama credit says that there is a credit base thing there.
Did I scroll too far down?
Yeah. Go back up to Mama's credit.
Mama's handprint.
Yeah.
Where is she? No, she said she's talking about arguments spiraling out of control.
There's a credit society.
Oh, okay. I'm not seeing that. Maybe I'll get to it down there.
Right above where Jared.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I see what you're saying now. So Mama's handprint says Jamaica is now a credit society. Really? That's interesting.
Mhm.
It says buying a home or loan, your background is checked. We are catching up with the world. Uh-oh. Catching up is a strong word right here. I wouldn't want us to catch up. And I mean, I get it, yes, but if someone has the money to get the property or whatever, they have the money. Because I've worked in that industry before, many, many years ago. And I'm telling you, the doctors were, and I apologize if there are any doctors that ever watch this. No pick against you. I'm just telling trends that we saw and it was reported. Doctors were sometimes some of the people who had the worst credit. Why? Because they're so busy. And they didn't do auto pays back when I was in that industry. So I'm not sure if it's changed because they have auto pays now. Some people don't like it, right? But the doctors, they had a lot of money, but they would forget to pay their
Yeah,
bills
because they're
on
just busy working,
time,
just busy
right?
working. Yeah,
So sometimes you may have the money, but your credit score is not good and it's gonna prevent you. So that's why in some cases I don't necessarily like it because you want to buy a car. But if I want to buy the car and I have like 80% of the value, you're gonna be like, oh, because the 20% your credit isn't good, so blah blah blah, whatever. And I'm just kind of like, but I
yeah,
have all this money to pay you. Or maybe your credit isn't established yet because you're new to this country or
hmm
new to that country or whatever, and it's not established. It is kind of like it holds you back. So
right. Because before when I first got here, I used to do like what we do in Jamaica. Everything was just cash.
cash. Hmm.
It's cash, and they said, no, you have to have a credit score. You have to go put some money here, get a
Hmm.
credit card, and da 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 da. And I was just like, are you kidding me? I gotta.
Hmm.
It's like buying your credit score. I mean, but that's what the rule says. So
Hmm.
we just went along with it. I prefer the
Yeah.
old way of just doing it. You save your money and you do it. I prefer that way.
Yeah.
That's a whole lot better. But okay,
But if anyone is on here and
you want it?
you've never checked your credit report before and you live in America, I would say check with the system that is that website is www.annualcreditreport.com. And I'm not promoting or anything. It is free. They give you one free credit check per year. So I would say
That's here in the
definitely
U.S.
check it. Yeah,
But
that's what I said in
yeah,
the US. So and I'm sure other countries probably have their ways of, having you check what your credit score is, but check it. So at least you know what it is and you know what you're working with. If you already know, then that's fine. But if it's a free service once per year, I mean, why not try to do it? So yes, I would say the credit is. I think it maybe want to discuss, at least discuss if you're not even looking at it to see where the person is, and hopefully they wouldn't be lying to you about the status that they're in, because when you have an issue, you can always go ahead and try to fix it. Try to improve it, and regardless of how bad your credit is, over time it can get fixed. But it's when someone gets blindsided, like say you've been in a relationship, you've been married for 2 years or whatever, you say, okay, let's go get a house or whatever. All of a sudden, like I said, you get to closing, or you're getting closer to the point of you're looking around at houses, and then all of a sudden you're hearing that okay, my credit is shot, so we're not going to qualify. That is, that's not good for the relationships. It's good to be upfront about it. One thing I don't like myself, there are people who are proponents for it. I am not one of them. And it's like for someone to do prenups. I mean, it just seems like you're setting yourself up for failure to me already, but people feel differently about it. And I get it, like if it's a case where you have a lot of money or properties or whatever, you figure like if something happens, the person may be with me for 3 months and then they leave and I have to give them half of everything. So I get that part too. But I guess if you're gonna do that, it kind of has to be in a way where at least it's reasonable to the person. Don't just cut them off completely. People have, because some divorce women used to suffer so much, in years past, and probably this is one of the reasons too why they were okay doing it, because it provides some provision for them. If the husband leaves, and some of them were like stay-on moms back at those times, or even now, and then he leaves, and it's kind of like it's hard for them to like get back in the workforce and to make a living for themselves. So at least something is set up so they can have some kind of a life. But again, I personally don't like it, but some people see the need for it. So if that works for you, then it works for you. But I'm just giving my
yeah,
opinion because we're talking about like different things, that would you would do. So that was under money, and we did skip ahead to health, but I forgot to mention it, so that's why I went back to do it. So let me see now. So Tiffany says, "Oh gosh, she's laughing."
yeah.
Jared
See
says,
how
"I
you
hope
build
you
up.
just returned before then." Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, he's talking about the prostate exam. Tiffany says, "I still need to build my credit." Yeah, but
he's
you're
asking how
young.
to build a
Yeah, I
credit.
know Tiffany, and I
Yeah,
know Jared. So you guys are young, so
yeah, but
you have a lot of
just
time.
pay
So
your
just
bills.
take your time.
Yeah, bill your. The key
Yeah.
thing is pay your bills on time. Don't be late because that will score you down a lot. Um, and
Not utilities though, like electricity, water, and all of that. Those things don't affect you
mortgage,
as much. But
things
like
like
your
that.
well, they wouldn't have a, excuse me, have a mortgage yet, but like if say you have like credit cards or I think like phones maybe on it too,
Yeah.
anything that they pull your credit to give it to because they're not gonna. I don't think they pull your credit to charge you for your utility bill because you have to have electricity, right, or
Well,
water.
some depends.
I don't think so. I don't think so. But anyway, the ones that they would do a credit check for, you want to make sure that you are paying those bills on time.
Yeah.
And I would say, having been in that industry before, what kind of helps you, like if you have, like, say, credit cards, you want to make sure that you don't pay just the minimum each month. You at least try to pay, if it's even not dollar over the minimum, but don't pay the minimum every month, or
Yeah.
$2 over, $3 over. Don't pay the minimum because when you pay the minimum, it helps to score you down because you can only manage to pay the minimum. So pay something over it. If you can pay a little bit, I'm not saying
Yeah.
like just pay all of it off. You don't
Yeah, because if you pay
revolve
all
a
of it off, they don't
balance.
really
Yeah, that
pay
doesn't
their
really build your
scores.
credit either. So you have to
No,
give a
do
little
it like in
something
three
back.
or four
Yeah, I would
payments.
say maybe like pay maybe like 80 or 90% of it and then leave something on so you have a revolving balance. So that way, they can see that you're someone who owes and you pay. And that's kind
Yeah,
of what they want to see, a
that's basically
pattern.
it. Yeah.
So I did put that little hat on for a second there, but just in case anybody's watching and they're trying to think about how to navigate that part, because that's a big part of your
Yes.
relationship to the financial side of it. But like I was saying, the health issues, for the men, as I was saying, the men they say tend to live longer when they're in steady relationships or married because the women get them to go and get their medical checkups done. So you know. And if you're, someone that's single right now, just do that for yourself in the meantime, get your health checked, and encourage each other, to eat properly, try to have a healthy lifestyle. Don't overdo it because as I explained to one of my sons, sometimes you can over exercise. If you exercise too much, it can cause certain hormones like cortisol to build up in your system, and that's not good for you either. So everything has to be tempered.
Yeah.
But keep track of your health, you can be physically active, like gardening, for example. That's a good one. I always push that in there because
Yeah.
this is a gardening channel after all, right? So, but yes, so that's health. Anybody want to? Let me take a look to see before I go any further. It says, I don't get prenups, honestly, but a lot of couples in society do it, especially people, like the stars and people have a ton of money and whatnot. Mama San Princess, they mostly target delinquent persons who have many unpaid loans.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. So anyway, the next one is date night.
Yeah.
And
That's
this is
that's
like,
something you have to be, again, like I said, you have to be intentional, and by doing that, one, you refresh, you know your first love. You learn habits. You grow together, because guess what? Sometimes you get so busy with things of life that your habits and likes and all that may have changed a little bit. Might think, oh, she likes rose. Well, she always likes roses, right? Hey, but
exhibit A.
it might be something else that you might think that the person likes, and they don't like it anymore because they've grown out of that, right? They might, so doing things together
Communication.
helps you
Yeah.
to stay in touch and grow, right? God did it. He met with Adam and Eve every day.
So anyway, still on the date night topic. So basically, it's something that you should try to arrange, especially if you have like small kids, because when you have little kids coming up, it can be very very stressful.
Yeah.
Of course, we are very happy to have our children. We have two boys. We love them to the moon and back. But when you have smaller kids, and you have to do every single thing for them, it can be very very stressful as new parents, especially. So I would say try to arrange
Yeah.
for people that you
Or
trust.
trust.
Of course, that's very important,
Yeah.
that you trust, that will allow you to have a date night out every now and then you
Yeah.
know and even like if it's maybe like grandparents, as the case may be, I would say have safety measures in place so that your kids are safe. So for example, like if they're taking your kid on a car ride or something and they're not used to having a child in the seat at the back, just so remember to keep
Yeah.
something in the back, forget the child is in here, because the worst thing you could do is to have someone taking care of your kid, and then they make a simple mistake and it's devastating, you know what I mean? But it's good to have someone that you trust, or you can go to their professional services, people who will take care of your children. They're well recommended. You can read recommendations about them, and you can have them look after your child for an evening or something, if you don't have like someone that you trust that you can have do it for you. So you can have some time together, because it's so important, when you're constantly on there roller coaster of having a small child, or sometimes the child may not be small, maybe they're a special needs child,
Right.
because we have a special needs relative and that takes a lot of time and attention. But sometimes you need a respite, as we call it, a little
Right.
break away from it, where you just kind of like two of you alone, someone taking care of the child, and then you have that time together.
Yeah, it's nothing to feel guilty about. It's just a matter of just getting a moment so you can get a breath of fresh air, like you
Right.
said, a respite.
A little bit of a respite, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not even necessary because your kids could be grown. You could be empty nesters, but you're so busy with life, or you have your own interests. Your spouse has their own interest, and you don't get to take a time to have like a date night every now and then. That's something that you should try to work on.
Yeah, because I see people where they're going out with the guys, and ladies going out with the girls, and that's how they're going about it. So almost like, so
On a
okay,
regular,
yeah, almost like, so when do you spend time together? You're working and then you're going out with your friends, but
all the
not with each
time.
other. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So that is happening. Pause, and find out why. You know,
Yeah.
and
Is
deal
it
with
a,
it.
is it a method of escapism for you? Is there
Right.
something that you need to deal with, that you need to speak to a counselor about or work out?
Yeah.
And again, like I said, we're not professional people. We're just talking about our life that we've lived, some things that we've seen. Some of them work, some didn't work. The good, the bad, and the ugly is basically what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So that it can kind of like help people as we're in this season of love, as they call it. So, there's nothing wrong with hanging out with the girls, hanging out with the guys every now and then, but it shouldn't just be something that, like every Friday night, that's my only free evening, really. And I'm always out every week with the boys. I never spend time with my wife, or vice versa, always out with the girls, never spend time with my husband. Your husband or your wife,
It should be
they
a
should
best
be
friend.
your best friend.
Yep. That's not happening, then you really have
You
to
have
check.
to
You
ask
have to
why.
check
Of
it.
course, you can have a good, friend as well. And I think it should be of the same gender, because sometimes the lines can get blurred, they can get crossed.
Mhm.
If you find yourself confiding in like somebody of, somebody more than you are to your own spouse, then there definitely is a problem.
Yeah.
There is a problem, especially if they're of the, opposite gender. Like you're going through stuff and you're telling them. Some people call him like they used to have a term like, that's my work wife, or that's my
Worldwide,
work
yeah.
husband.
I
I
tell
am
myself,
not
look,
feeling that.
no, I don't play them games.
No, no,
No,
no,
no,
no,
no, no,
no.
no, no. There's one wife right here, right?
One husband right there.
Yeah.
Right. But I'm just saying that to say, you can have people, that you get along well with at work. There's nothing wrong with that. You may laugh and talk and this and that. But when you cross the line is when you start like hopes and dreams, stuff
Mhm.
that's bothering you, and your spouse doesn't
You're
know about
bashing
it,
the
but
next person,
they know about it, and they
whatever.
start to come. The next level is they start to complain about what the spouse is doing right. That is
Mhm.
just taking you down a very dark path that you really don't want to go on. So I would say, if you have people at work, that you have relationships with, in terms of laugh, talk, whatever, not, that's fair enough, but it has to be within. There has to be boundaries in place,
Right.
when you're doing stuff like that.
Not only in marriage, but even in families. Yeah.
Yeah, that too.
What you say in your family, you know, that's it. You guys work it out there.
Hmm. So we're still on date night. So I've been married or in a relationship for a while. You kind of like let your guard down in terms of your appearance sometimes, because they're used to seeing me when I'm like they just pop over. If you're not together, cohabiting, just pop over and they see me, and it's kind of like so they know what I look like without makeup, without my hair done, just in my house dress or my bathrobe or whatever. So you're kind of
But
like they're relaxed.
I'm kidding.
These are all mine and all his. But anyway, I'm just saying that you get relaxed with the person. So when date night comes, do a little bit of an extra, get your hair done, a little bit of makeup if you're into makeup, wear something nice, put on some heels or something, guys. Get a nice haircut.
Shave.
If you need to shave,
Whatever.
shave, little perfume if you're into
Or just
perfume,
brush it. Right?
deodorant, whatever, as the case may be, just something that, gives you that lift. So you can go out together, you feel nice, take a picture together, share the
Yeah.
memories. Everybody has a phone now with a
Yeah.
camera, almost, well, not every single person, but most people have a phone that has a camera on there. Take a picture together. That's a good memory that you are cherishing there.
Yeah, and that's another thing too. When you're spending this time together, doing this, you're building memories for tomorrow. I always say make memories for today, so you can use those to fuel your tomorrow, to encourage, look back on what you know, things that you have done, and you know, how it made you feel and things like that. Because when you do that, it just, you know, makes tomorrow so much better. You know, when you look back on what you did, you know, yesterday.
Right. So yeah, so that's it though. So like with a date night, guys, I would say like at least, one picture or somebody can take a picture of you sometimes. Sometimes, we'll go on somewhere and somebody offers you guys like person take a picture of you. I wasn't even thinking about it. It's like, sure, I'm never gonna turn that down. But you can do it for yourself. And I'd say do it before you go. Like when you're nicely put together, you're looking really nice and
No spinach
fresh.
in the teeth.
Well, it would finish with because you haven't eaten yet, right?
Yeah.
But freshen up really nice, dress up really nice, take a nice picture, and just go ahead and and just have a wonderful evening. And I said evening, but it doesn't have to be date night. It can just be date lunch.
Lunch.
Maybe you're on a tight budget because life is up and down. Sometimes you're in a spot where things can be tight,
Yeah. And you're gonna have like
right?
a
You can
stay,
have a lunch together, right? You can
or
have
a
lunch
weekend
together.
staycation. You know, just take time away from the normal busyness and just spend time together. Spend time together.
Yeah, and
You,
that's
you have to do that.
that's like a whole even other level on top of it. Like say to like maybe spend some take some time off and go away. And like you said, it doesn't have to be like a vacation for a whole week. It could just be for a weekend. You leave Friday evening, you come back Sunday evening. That's 2 days right there where you remove yourself. Because I don't know, there's something about being on vacation, or just like traveling away a little bit. You're just away from all the different things that would pull you, distract you. And if you're someone who is like working, working, working all the time, sometimes you may just need to leave that laptop where it needs to stay and tell them like, listen, I'm gonna be unavailable. And you have like a reference point.
And
If you
you're
can't
cut
reach me
back on
during
your
this
texts
time,
and all that
if
other
you
stuff.
can't reach me during that time, if you use like, Microsoft Outlook or any of those other, type of programs at work, they have the things you can put out of office. If I'm not in, reach out to so and so that nobody bothers you while you're away. So you really have that time together undistracted to enjoy each other's company. Because one of the worst things, like he's saying here, is like, you go out and they say that's kind of like the newest thing now. You put two people on a date and the wife is like, tick, 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 or the wife, husband, whatever, date, whatever. She's on hers, he's on his. Kind of like, why did you bother to go? You could have stayed home and do that, right? We're not gonna drop the phones and the drinks, though. We're not, right? But it's kind of like, and I mean, sometimes you can just say it politely. If it's going on for a while, you can say something about it. So, just find a nice way to say it without, like attacking the person. You're like, are you gonna be on your phone again? Kind of thing. That's you're already gonna you just starting a war right there. Don't do it. Just find a nice way to say, so like, are you able to get back to them later so we can enjoy our dinner? Just something like that. Because sometimes you feel like ticked off about something. It's like the first thing comes into your head, you kind of like want to say it, but you kind of like have to pull it back a little bit. And this is what I'm saying. So you go on a date, you don't have open communication. The person's there all night, scrolling, laughing, ha 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 ha, da 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 da, going on, and you were so upset about it, and you did not say a word to them.
Mhm.
Now you this was supposed to be date night, making things better, and what did it do? It made it worse.
Yeah.
Because you didn't say anything. So you kind of have to say something depending on what it is. You know what I mean? And I think it makes it better, but it's the way. As they say most times, it's not the what you say, but it's the how you say it. So just bear that in mind. And the next thing is that whether it be on a date or anywhere else for that matter, flirtations are just
Yeah.
that is a straight up no no. And I'm telling you, the devil, we rebuke him because he will try to do stuff to you.
Mhm.
I had a friend one time. This was back in Jamaica. She was out with her husband, and this man came up. He wrote his number on what's it called now, on a napkin.
Napkin.
Wrote his phone number and gave to her, and she's sitting there right next to her husband. What would someone do? It's obvious that that's her and her husband right there. And he wrote his number on a paper and gave it to her. I mean, come on. And there are people out there who do stuff like that. Why would you do that
Yeah.
to someone? Because you're basically disrespecting the spouse that is there right now. I would just roll it up and throw it right back at him. I'm so
Yeah.
serious. Just
I don't smoke, but just get lighter and it's like
No, you're not gonna.
burn it.
No, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Don't listen to him. He's being silly. But I'm just saying, and like the flirtations, if you're in a relationship with someone, I know that some men they're just very flirtatious.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
It's not good. It's very demoralizing to the person. We're back to the same
And
story
not
again
only
of
that too, but my thing is this: if he do that to you, right, that means you do that to the guy, you turn around and do the same thing to you because he doesn't respect you.
yeah, he
That
doesn't respect boundaries.
your boundaries and that you're in that
Yeah,
relationship.
you
So
wouldn't want to
he's
be some. Yeah.
disrespecting you to say that you're a cheater just like he is.
Mm-hmm.
So don't
Absolutely.
take it as a compliment that you be just like
Oh, I'm so cute. You just couldn't resist.
right,
No,
no,
no, that's not the way to go
no. You
about it.
just say
You need to
you're an
step
idiot.
off. You need to step off because you're coming in our zone, and you really have to be protective of your
Yeah,
relationship. And like the same
know
flirtation
your
thing
worth.
again. Sometimes people will come around you and try to look at your whatever. Do not hold long glances. It's leading you in the wrong direction. That happens, you look right back this way. Don't even be lingering your eyes over there. Don't do it. Or go back for a second look like that. Don't do it. Mm-mm.
Mm, yeah,
It's not going to lead you to a good place. Just let it go. It's not worth it. Right? It's not worth it. So I don't know if that person was figuring maybe their marriage is kind of like their marriage was actually in a little bit of a problem at the time. So that just caused a
yeah,
very big argument when they got home. And it wasn't her fault. She didn't ask the man to come over there or do anything, but he did it. But maybe it's the way she just was very passive about it. So I guess that probably upset him that she wasn't like be like, what are you doing? Or she just kind of sat there kind of thing. So but I'm just saying that, flirtations and stuff like that, just, kind of like be careful, with those things. Those are kind of like a no. So let me take a look at the comments here again. Oh,
yeah,
Jared says smelling the roses. Yeah, absolutely, and
yeah. You're just saying
just have a little bit of a smell. Yeah,
you just saying
stop
don't be
and
so
smell
greedy.
the
Yeah,
roses. Yeah. So, like I said, like the date thing, and it could just be lunch, like I was saying, just go out for lunch together, and that's a low budget. Don't go at a time of day though, like when everybody's kind of like up inside your week during the week, and you're like noisy and all over the places. That's very distracting. So you could choose that time of day for lunch, maybe like 1 p.m. I suppose, when most people have gone back to work already, or if they are there, it's not as much as like if you go at noon, or maybe you can have like breakfast maybe like earlier in the morning, maybe like at
brunch.
6 or 7, and then you can go
Yeah,
in at 11, so they're not there yet. So when you're ready to go, you're coming in, you're kind of like, okay, whatever, we're good to go, we're out. So there are different ways around it, or maybe even like they have like early bird specials sometimes. It's a little bit less depending on the time of day that you go. So those are different, workarounds as far as, date night. It doesn't have to be like at night. It can be like in the middle of the day. And know your budgets too. Um,
right.
because if you're with someone that they don't have a whole ton of money, you don't want to go and be like, every time you want the most I want filet mignon every time, or
Yeah,
be reasonable. It's a compromise. You know what I mean? Be thoughtful. And these things go a long way because it kind of like shows, it just it
show that you
shows
care.
that you care about the
Yeah,
person. If they
it's
have a
not
lot
just
of money,
about the
well,
money.
and they be like, buy whatever you want, honey. Of course, go for it. I'm not gonna say no if you're kind of like, there is no budget tonight, get whatever you want. And you can even ask ahead too, because if you're in a relationship and you're comfortable enough, it's not like a first or second date or something. You're in a relationship long enough or your marriage. Hopefully it's at the point where you can say to them, so are we budgeting, or how is it going, or maybe based on the place that you choose, that may indicate, like how much you're planning to spend, because some
Right.
places are very high end. So going there, you already know, like, okay, it's probably gonna be like $100 per person for here, or it may just be like $20 per person for here. Sometimes even 10 if it may be like for lunch or something like that. So that's the date night part and dressing up. And the next thing now, which kind of comes in under that, but it's not just for date night, it's just kind of like living each day, and that is to compliment each other.
Right.
Words of affirmation. It goes a very, very long way. Let me see what Tiffany said here. She says, I immediately block people when they try to flirt on social media. It's clear as day that I'm in a relationship, and people know that when they look at my social media profile, so I block them. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I was saying earlier, because that was one of my co-workers, back in Jamaica. They went out to dinner. She was there with her husband. You could clearly see she was there with her husband, and he came and gave her his number on the napkin. And quite often too, they say it. They say that like a lot of times when people are in relationships, it's like
That's when people are
that's when
attracted
people
to
are
them.
more attracted to them because they figure like, oh,
It's a
somebody
challenge.
wants them right now, so it's a challenge. I'm gonna have to go and see if I can break them apart and get them. And sometimes they don't even really care about it. They just want to prove it's just an ego boost. Or I
Mhm.
could break up their relationship.
Yeah.
So they don't even really want anything long term. They just want to come in and break it up. You know what I mean? So that happens
Or they
sometimes
just
too,
want what they
where
want for that
right,
moment,
exactly. It's
and
like
then move on to the
say
next
toot
one.
toot, I did this kind of thing. So, definitely guard against stuff like that, about, like other people trying to come in and do stuff like that. And it's usually painfully obvious in most cases that that's what's going on, but they come and they try to, kind of like get on in there. But anyway, back to words of compliment to words of affirmation. And they have different things now. I didn't look up any of those things. I did talk about different types of words of affirmation, which I'm guessing there are studies to that actually works in some way. But basically just compliment each other, just compliment each other. You kind of you could just be like what the person's wearing. Oh, your outfit looks very nice today. Your hair looks really good today. Oh, where did you get that dress? It looks so good on you,
Yeah.
or you got a haircut. It looks so good, or that's a nice shirt. Those are some nice shoes, you smell really nice today, just something to show that you are not just tunnel vision or doing this, but you're actually observing the person, you
Right.
care about them, and you want them to feel good about themselves and and what they're doing. So I'd say definitely, compliment each other. It goes a long way. The next one is to celebrate each other's success. So it could be in different aspects of life, just be there to celebrate each other. And I'm not necessarily saying like if it's person's birthday to celebrate them. Yes, that's a part of it too, or Valentine's Day, coming up or whatever, you go and you celebrate that together. And that should be a two-way street, by the way. Maybe you don't have a lot of money to give the person a lot or whatever, but just something as simple as a
Write a
card.
note.
I'm a card person anyway.
Mhm.
I can write them a note. Maybe you can just order, some lunch for them or something. Have it have it together. Flowers are wonderful. They did talk about, smell the roses on here. Flowers are nice. You don't have to go, like, say, to, like one of those florists to order expensive flowers. You can
Yeah.
go into the grocery store, any grocery store, and you can pick yourself up a bunch
Mhm.
and just give it to them. Make sure it's in a nice little sleeve so that if there's water, it doesn't like spill over and, wet the place up and everything like that. But
You
yeah,
can go
grocery
to the
stores, you
dollar
go into any
store,
one of
get a
them.
vase, cut the flowers underwater, right? And then you put it in the water with the plant food
Yeah.
and whatever else you want to do there. That will keep it going longer. I'm just giving you a little tip there as to how to let your flowers last a little bit longer.
Yeah, so
Right?
that's one way to do it, and it depends on where you're going. Because if you're going to certain places, like it's a date night, it may not necessarily work for you to have flowers in a vase in water. So sometimes it could just be the flowers, like in the sleeve.
Mhm.
But you can get them something. It doesn't, it's nice when you get flowers ordered, yes. But like I said, you have all of these different options. You can get flowers and give to them. Ladies, you may not want to like necessarily buy an expensive gift, but it's even a card, some candy, something that the person really likes. It could be maybe like the person likes baseball cards. You just get them a pack of baseball cards that you ordered some time ago. You save it up and you give it to them. Could be anything, you know. It could be anything that the person that they've talked about it and they'll appreciate it. So you do that for them.
And one thing I would say, I know, it's Valentine's and all that, but, a lot of these things, they're supposed to help in terms of relationships and so on. However, sometimes, a person might be busy, they may not get to do it and things like that. Do not listen to people saying, "Oh, he didn't get you flowers for Valentine's," or she didn't get this for you or whatever. Therefore, they don't love you. Don't get caught up in things like that, right? That's just one day out of the entire year. Look at the entire picture, right? These things are commercial and they're meant to make money and stuff like that. So don't get sucked into things like these, right? Look at the entire year, look at your entire period of relationship, and look at what has been going on, right? These things help, yes, for those people that are not doing as much, right? It kind of gets them to do something in some cases. But at the same time, that's not the final judgment,
I agree. I mean, but I think that those
But
things are important
it's
since we did
nice.
talk
It's
about words of
nice,
affirmation. So
you know.
if somebody,
Yeah,
you're dating somebody or you're
yeah.
married to them and they never ever give you anything for any occasion, oh my gosh. I think they need
Well,
to go
yeah,
lie on somebody's couch because that's just a selfish person. If you
right.
love
Yeah,
somebody,
that's different. That's
there's
different.
gonna be something inside of you that wants you to make the person feel loved and feel cared for and feel happy about themselves. So, you may slip up here and there. I would say don't forget the anniversary. If you have a spouse that tends to forget anniversaries, my husband does not. He's very good at that.
Just write a note down.
I've gone to people's house and see that they write it in there like the day before. Tomorrow is our anniversary, or they put it on
No
the day
speaking
itself.
English.
Anniversary, right? So they can see it, so they can say, I forgot, I didn't know. Because you kind of like have to help your spouse along as well. Because sometimes people are busy, they could be getting forgetful, they could be older or whatever.
Mm,
And it's not that they have ill intent, it just didn't work out because they completely forgot. Things have slipped my mind before. I've had people in the family
yeah,
and I forgot their birthday and was like, how could I possibly forget that? But I did.
yeah.
So it can happen. Like you remember, because sometimes I had a birthday where I remembered not his or my boys or whatever, but I remember their birthday like almost every day for like a week before. And then like the day before and the day of, I completely forgot because life happened and it just completely went. You know what I mean? So sometimes if you figure that you may be forgetful or something for your spouse, and you can go ahead and set it up so that it's already done.
Mhm.
For example, you can maybe order something online so it gets delivered. You do it way ahead of time when you remember. So it comes ahead of time. So it's kind of like, okay, that's covered. If
Send a
I forget, I
text,
forget.
whatever.
Yeah, if you ordered flowers or something, they're gonna come anyway. But give yourself reminders so that way, you can you basically it will help you along to make these decisions. But just to say that, if somebody forgets every single time, to me that's kind of a red flag. You can't forget every single time unintentionally. There has to be, you just don't want to be bothered with it. And if you don't want to be bothered with that, then what else do you want to be bothered with? You know what I mean? But like you said, you can't just, the person forgot once. You can't just say, oh, you forgot, you didn't give me anything, so that you don't care about me anymore. Are you cheating on me or something like that? Of course, there are always red flags for stuff like that. Again, context clues, right? So if it's a case where, you see other things happening and then that happens, and you can say, okay, we're moving along a certain trajectory here, a certain pathway, so maybe I need to think about that. So like that. But just, one off and everything else seems fine, stuff happens like that. But yeah, celebrate each other's success, different things, accomplishments. It could be, like if they're in school, it maybe could have gotten a good grade on their test, you celebrate them, say congratulations. It could be a case where they got a promotion, they got a pay raise, and maybe just be like, 20 cents. It doesn't matter, it's a pay raise, right? Things
I'm not
like
used to those
those.
kind of
It
raise,
sounds
man.
so, yeah, it
It
sounds
sounds
really weird
weird.
over here. Like you're getting a raise for
Yeah,
$1 or something like that.
yeah,
But anyway,
yeah.
but yeah, so celebrate the small victories,
Yeah.
because you have enough bad stuff in life, that can distract us and make us sad and pull us down from time to time. So I would say whatever small successes that you have there, you would definitely want to celebrate them. Let me see what Andrea says. She says yes, that is very important. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Lorna says beautiful. Yeah.
And
So
another
I
thing
mean,
too, like we learned from a friend's
situation.
situation today, be there, be there. Presence, it's important. If you can't be there, send a text, whatever, but let your presence be felt. You know, communicate. You know.
So we're basically wrapping it up now. So just to go over the things that we looked at, if you came in late, you can always go back and take a look at them. We talked about the history of Valentine, like how it started. I mean, there was a pagan history to it, but we're not celebrating that part. We're celebrating, the commemoration of what Saint Valentine did for the young men who were the emperor at the time said men who are married, they don't do well in war, so he forbade them to marry, and he kept marrying them, and he died for that cause. So that's why they celebrate him that way. And he had also written a letter, they say, to the jailer's daughter. He had fallen in love with her, and he wrote her a letter and signed my Valentine before he died. So I guess that's why some of the letters get exchanged at that point too. Again, we said we're not professionals. We're just talking about, like our life experience that we've been through and things that we've seen happen to other people, over the years. So, we take notes of things like that. We talk about dating. We talk about, online dating, to look for red flags when you're doing that. So you can go back and watch, when you have the time from the beginning. And, just practice caution, whichever way you're doing it. Be safe when you're doing that. The next thing is about wedding. Like some people, they may just want to have a wedding, not necessarily that they want to have a marriage. So be careful you're not in that trap. You just want to have a big day, celebrate yourself. But when the rubber meets the road, that part, the hardcore part of the marriage, you're not really ready for that. So sort yourself and make sure that that is really what you're in it for, and not just like the hoopla of one day of celebrating, because that is very important. And you'll have hurt feelings. It hurts everybody, when things don't work out. But you're like, yeah, I'm glad it's over. It doesn't matter. Something has been severed. You've been, separated to a part, something that you were bonded to. So you will still get hurt. You'll still have some grieving going on there. And about your planning, stay within your budget. Spend everything off on the wedding, and then you're in dire straits. Once the marriage actually starts, because that's problems there too. We talk about communication, keeping it open. We talked about what happens when you argue. To fight fair, as they say. Argue in a way that doesn't demean the next person. We talked about in-laws and having their approval, that it is important, but at the same time, you have to guard your relationship, because at the end of the day, it comes down to the two of you. And like interferences that can happen sometimes. You don't want to have too many outside people coming in and influencing the marriage in a negative way, but just
Or the
to care for your
relationship.
family and try to be supportive of them. But if it's something that looks really scary, like I'm very scared for what you're getting into, then of course you have to say something. In those cases, I definitely get that, because that does happen sometimes. About health, helping each other stay on top of your health, that's very important. About money, the financial aspect of it. Know before you get into it where each person stands, what their preferences are, what their credit looks like. Not like a demand, let me see your credit, but just to discuss. These are topics that need to be discussed, so you're not blindsided when you try to either get a house or a car together or any little thing like that. We talked about date night, that you should try to have that every now and then, especially if you have smaller children. Get someone that you trust, to work along with you, so you can, get a little respite from all of that. About dressing up and going out, looking really cute or handsome, as the case may be, to be there for each other. So you can say yes, take a picture, before you leave. It's a good memory you have. It doesn't have to be like, a portrait that you took. You can take a picture of yourself together, compliment each other. Oh, you look so nice today. You smell so nice. And it doesn't even have to be the way they look. It can be something that they did. You really cleaned the car really good today, right?
Mhm.
You really cooked a tasty meal, like that. Celebrate each other's success. It could be with work. It could be with, like different things that they accomplished. Just different aspects of it. And, of course, as we always say, we're faith based. We always say, keep God in the center. If you keep him in the center, then you pretty much, you know, and ask for help if you need it, but ask for help from the right people, someone who
Yeah.
really cares about you, someone who's not going to try to just, like, oh, it's not worth it. That's not the kind of help you want. Or go to a professional. If you need professional help, there are people out there that can help you professionally. You don't have the money, there are pastors you can go to that can help you, but just people that you trust to do it. So did you want to add anything to that?
No, that pretty much covers it. In this session, I mean, there are other things that we could touch on, but I'll leave it for another time. But
Hmm.
like I said, you're in whatever relationship you're in together, whether it be dating, married, parent, child, whatever relationship you're in, right? Try to keep it healthy. The things that are will threaten your relationships that are negative, keep those things away. Whatever things are confidential, you keep it together as confidential. But build your relationship. It's a daily thing. It's something just like the flowers that you have here.
Hmm.
Any plant that you have, you have to nurture, spend time, quality time, and build it together, and just savor each moment. Right? Life is a gift, so treat it as a gift. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't
Isn't,
waste
guys?
it. Don't waste it.
Please be sure to share this out with those who think it might help. I know last year Pastor Juanita was on here. She's a very good friend of ours. and she had shared that with some of the younger people at her church and some of the older ones too, who are single, divorced, dating, or as the case may be, or some of the people who are married as well too. And it doesn't mean that the person, you think the person's relationship is in trouble. It's just like for reinforcement of some of the things that we know, but sometimes they get lodged at the back of our mind and we forget.
Yeah.
Like if you have a child that's going to be married, getting married, so you can share it with them, or they're starting to date, or whatever the case may be. Once you're old enough, it's good to have discussions with them. And sometimes it's kind of like a hard conversation for you to have because the relationship is so close with your child or some, sibling or whatever the case may be. So sometimes when there is a third party that kind of like, presents the information from their experience,
Mhm.
it kind of helps. And again, we're not professionals. We're just talking about our experience
Right.
and those from people that we've had to deal with over the years and things that we have seen go on there. And of course, this is a gardening channel. My regular videos are there that give you tips on how to take care of your plants. I've been doing a lot more indoor plants. Well, not a lot, but I'm doing more indoor plants this year.
Because of it's the winter time, right? But
Yeah, right now. Yeah,
as
but
soon as
still.
it hits spring, yeah.
Well, we'll be outdoors,
Yeah.
yes, but I'm also another thing I'm doing too is I've been so inspired. I mean, I usually grow my own veggies like peppers and tomatoes and beans and stuff, but I'm going to be doing a little bit more stuff because I've gotten some herbs in my hydroponic system that I have inside. I'm going to try to grow more herbs outside and just different things,
Yeah.
that we can enjoy. You don't have to have a big space. People like Stacy, Blessings from the Garden, they'll show
Man,
you that.
you're doing well.
Yeah, they just have containers like
Great
5-gallon kegs, sometimes even smaller than that. And they're growing all kinds of stuff in them. So don't say, oh, I don't have a lot of space. My sister has a balcony apartment and she grew tomatoes.
Yeah.
She had
And I saw
rosemary.
her.
She had
I saw her
peppers.
green
And she had
onions.
lots of beautiful flowers too, green
Good
onions,
job.
ginger, all of those
Mhm.
things. So, I mean, grow as long as you have a balcony,
Turmeric.
you can get some sun, you can grow something outside. On the inside, they have hydroponic system. They're growing lights that you can use. Check out my videos. There are many different options available for you to grow something, and it's always such a pleasure. Just like you have a relationship flourish and bear fruit in your life. It's the same thing whenever you nurture a plant and it comes up.
Yeah.
It feels so good. Of course, we lose a few every now and then. It happens no matter how experienced a gardener is. If they tell you they've never lost a plant, I am not believing them.
Dollar store flowers. That's what happened.
You mean the fake ones, right? But when you nourish a plant and it comes to life, literally you say, "Oh my gosh, it's blooming," or "Oh my gosh, it's bearing fruit."
Yeah, because the
It
orchid
is
is
such a good
blooming more.
feeling. Yes, it's such a
really
good
blooming.
feeling,
Ooh,
right?
It's pretty.
So I would say just go for it and try to grow something. Oh, we have coffee on here, gardening with coffee. Hi, coffee, you're at the tail end. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry you just came on, my dear. But we do have a replay because we were talking about relationships today and all the different ins and outs, whether someone is single, if they're dating, if they're married, if they're divorced, whatever it is, just different things that we discuss: finances, safety, communication, date night, complimenting each other, attire, celebrating each other, just various different things. And it's all if you wanted to go back and take a look at it. But she has a really nice channel. It's fairly new as far as what I could see, but she's growing a lot of stuff, and hers is mostly like things to eat as well too. So you guys are spurring me on even more to be doing more stuff. That of course my flowers will always be my first love. Like you already know, I love me some flowers. But anyway, but we're doing a little bit, a little bit more of that. So these guys, check them out. We have Lorna. She does beautiful decor. We had so we have gardening with coffee. Lorna's decor and just kitchen time. And it's so funny they're right next to each other. We have gardening with Stacy. I hope I'm not missing anybody in here right now. Mama's handprints,
Yep.
right? So these are all channels. You can check them out if you would like to.
Good
And they
cooking
have
there.
wonderful topics that they cover. So check them out, guys. But I certainly appreciate you joining us today. We'll be cooking again the next time you see us because we're always using a signature fruit or vegetable in our live videos. We cook together. That's our way of one of the things that we said: do things together, support each other. So the next one coming up, I'm not sure what we're gonna do yet, but we'll figure it out as the time goes by. And depending on what's in season, sometimes we'll do it that way too. Or something that I may have harvested. So we'll see. But anyway, stay tuned for those and check out my regular videos. If you haven't subscribed yet, be sure to subscribe and give me a thumbs up if you haven't done so already, so this will get sent out to more people. And please feel free to share it. We thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. And we certainly hope to see you in the next video.
Thank you.
It truly was a pleasure. I absolutely enjoyed this. And I'm just trying to see if I can get this closed out here.
Scroll down.
It's not scrolling. We need to end the live.
Yeah. Just hold the control key down and scroll. that way.
Was I scrolling the wrong way? Okay, so go ahead and end it right here. Thank you all. Have
Thank
a
you.
wonderful
Bye.
evening.